A happy Tuesday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by Mott's Clamato Caesar, the top Caesar brand in the country. Cheers to the Hangout. Cheers to Mott's Clamato Caesar. Matt Iwanyk with you here. Reid Wilkins from 630 CHED joining us once again. Happy New Year, Reid.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for coming in.
It's great to be here with, I've never been on air with Eric before.
Yeah.
Do I have to say lieutenant every time?
You can call me whatever you want.
Is it lieutenant or lieutenant?
Well,
It's Lieutenant.
yeah.
Okay, I was pretty sure. But I
It's-
was like, maybe everybody was saying it wrong.
I get where you're going with the Canadian thing, but the playoff of Forrest Gump.
Yes.
With the Dan, Lieutenant Dan.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from.
I should be sitting cross-legged.
Is there
with the
shrimp?
knees. We could get shrimp. I think Tom could probably stop and bring some.
Well, yeah,
He's
he's- apparently
taking his
Tom
time.
is
Tommy,
stopping.
bring in the shrimp.
Is Tom going to bring in a full meal? Or
Shawn
what's
Belle's
happening?
coming today too. Shawn usually comes from work or his practice and stuff, so he comes in a little later. That is the expectation we have of Shawn.
Sure, yeah.
He's allowed. Tommy has a show to do at 9 every day.
Yeah.
And it's 9:06, and he's coming in hot. And so that's why Lieutenant Eric
That'd
is
be
sitting
like a
here.
new year,
So
new
thank you, Reid, for coming in and being here on time.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
very
rarely
appreciate that.
late, actually.
You're ahead of time.
I work with somebody who, Jack Michaels, I don't mind saying it because we discussed on air all the time. He is never early, but he is never late.
He's like right on time.
It is amazing how he does it. I guess specifically what I'm talking about is when he joins me on the Face-Off show in Studio 99. So he doesn't do as many games on the radio anymore, as I'm sure most people know. But if he's doing play-by-play, he comes on. So if he's supposed to be on at 6:50, he is walking into Studio 99 at 6:49:50, and then the 10 seconds, and then so this past Saturday, we're coming back from commercial, and my op says, "Okay, final commercial," and I was like, "Jack's not here, and I'm trying not to worry," but I said, "Get this ready." This clip ready just in case, and I'll throw to it. But I'm thinking he's going to be here. And then she's like, okay, 5. And in walks Jack. Then I'm like, all right, Saturday night, Senators, Oilers. And like Jack is putting on the headset as I'm introducing him. And then we just went into
It's
it.
a showman type of
amazing.
thing. He knows what he's doing.
He is a bit of a showman.
Howdy.
Yes.
You'll take Eric's spot.
Do you?
Oh, I will?
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable
Nice
sitting
seeing
by
you.
me, Tom?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, nice seeing you as well. We'll shake hands.
Thanks,
And I get to sit by. Why
Eric,
are
it's
you
good having
sitting
you.
by
I
me?
really appreciate that appearance. It was
National championship.
one of the best
that was
appearances
great.
we've ever had
I'm
on the
sitting
EST
by you 'cause
Hangout.
Matthew wants me to.
Well, yeah, because we're over here, and then I'm gonna have to take that spot. After.
Oh, right,
And
yeah.
then Bellsy will take this spot, and I'll move over there.
There's always a rationale.
Good to see you, Tom.
Well, yeah.
Very good to see
Yeah.
you.
Well, promptness is important.
Good morning.
Do you remember that show, Kids in the Hall? Mm-hmm. So they used to do this thing, and they would just have like some random fact or stat. You know, it would be like, tip your waiter. And then they'd have all these women standing together.
Yeah.
And they'd all yell out, tip your waiter. And it'd be like 30 Helens agree. And then one time they had, promptness is important. And then it was like, 29 Helens agree. Helen Smith isn't here yet, too. I thought it was funny.
I understand what you're getting at,
get
and I
my
do
water.
remember the show. Yes, sorry. My tires were a little low.
Did you have to go to Costco for that?
No, I
You don't have the nitrogen tires?
I do have the nitrogen tires, but I have my own air compressor. So it took a few minutes to go hit
For
everyone.
nitrogen?
Not nitrogen, just regular.
Wasn't that
air.
like bad for the tire then to mix them?
No. As someone who was a
That's what I'm asking.
as someone who was a Michelin certified tire salesman and technician from 2004 to 2007, you can mix nitrogen with regular air. It's fine.
Oh, really? I didn't know that you did that.
I did that.
How
was
long
your-
does it take to get Michelin
Certification.
certified?
I think it was like a series of tests, and by series I mean like 1 or 2.
Sounds about
What
proper.
Michelin location did you work at?
I worked at Costco on Yellowhead Trail on 149.
Oh, neat. Well, it's a good experience to have.
Thank you.
When you first started saying Michelin, I hoped you were a Michelin reviewer for restaurants.
I'm
No.
so-
Michelin. Didn't we
not
talk
the
about
case.
Michelin stars last time I was here too?
I'm so
Why does that
weird.
keep
Like I
coming up?
don't get.
I don't know.
how that tire company's involved with grading restaurants.
Are they? They're not. It's different.
No, I think it's different.
I think that like it's like the big company, isn't it? Like the
No.
like
No,
parent
I
company
thought
or something.
Michelin was a couple of. Didn't Michelin start with
Maybe I'm-
a husband and wife?
Okay,
that
well
went
that
around
makes
doing
more
it?
sense.
Maybe I'm thinking of something
Reid would
else.
know.
I thought maybe it was like the
No, I
like the
wouldn't
parent
necessarily
company.
know.
That's a
owns it,
rabbit
but-
hole you would go down.
Well, yes, that's true. Like searching Wikipedia and YouTube.
We don't have any
Not the
Michelin star
dark web.
restaurants in Edmonton. I don't think. I'm scared of the dark web.
I don't know if they would go outside the States, I think.
Oh, yeah, there's Michelin stars in Canada.
Oh, just in Edmonton we don't have.
Yeah.
Because
No, I
and
think
they're
Vancouver
just
and Toronto
three,
would have.
right? They just go up to 3, I believe. I don't think
sounds
it's
about
4 or
right.
5. I think if you get 3 stars, you're pretty good.
Just like, we only give 3
I wonder if
medals
they're
at the
ever like,
Olympics.
look, we're not going to give any stars, but it's still pretty good. It's just we don't want to give it any stars. It's a decent place to eat.
Pill Dickle, I like this. Great name. Man, dude, there's already 72% nitrogen in the air you're breathing. It's a gimmick. Guy with 11 years tire experience. Pill Dickle, yes, it's...
That's a good point.
Don't tell them the secret.
But
Pill.
isn't
a
like
lot
the
of nitrogen in
nitrogen
the
tires with Costco, aren't they supposed to hold longer?
They're
or something?
supposed
Like
to.
that's where I thought you couldn't just use regular air compressors for it. At least that's what they said when I bought the tires at Costco. I guess I was just completely lied to. And that's why I was asking the question.
Better. Pill Dickle's right. It is a bit of a gimmick, but
Okay.
it is slightly better. Yeah.
Well,
It holds a little bit better.
they have nitrogen air at Costco. Have you ever seen those
Just go
pumps?
fill it in on your own, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
they've added
These-
those pumps now. And
We didn't have that. We had
No.
we would have people that would come in and they'd be like, I had to top up the air in my tires the other day. Can you completely deflate and reinflate every one of them, please? And it'd be like minus 35. And it's like, yes, I can. As the youngest person here, I will do it for you. And then I became one of the supervisors somehow. So I made other people do it. And I remember this like 45-year-old guy going, so Tom, you're telling me that if a customer comes in and something's wrong and they have a complaint, I have to go, hang on, let me go get my boss and pull you out here. And I was like, yeah, that sounds ridiculous, but sorry, Brian, that is the process. You do have to do that. He's like, great. And I'm like, get certified, dog. It's not hard.
Was his name
It was a
actually
couple of
Brian?
tests.
His name was Brian, yeah. It's like 2 tests.
Those nitrogen actually air pumps that they have now, they're very handy. Like you just plug it in and it fills up perfectly for you. Like you don't even have to guess what it has to be. You just need to know what your tire PSI needs to be, which you read the label on the side, plug
the
it
side
in,
of your door.
click the side thing, and boom, it does it all for you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I find this fascinating because I knew nothing about nitrogen going into tires. I know I'm not a big car person to begin with. I know how to start it and drive it.
Yeah, you drive
If I
it
had
well.
to, if I had to fix it or anything like that, I couldn't do it. And no one's ever spoken to me about. So it's the percentage of nitrogen in the tires, or is it all nitrogen?
I suppose it's all nitrogen. I'm not a scientist, Reid.
It sounds like
At Costco, I'm under the assumption it's all just the nitrogen.
Yeah.
where is nitrogen, man, when you need
And
it?
that's why you're
Pill
not
Dickle,
supposed
where
to
you at
use
when I need ya?
You're not supposed to go to irregular air compressors, or I thought. But Tommy's over here doing whatever the hell he wants with his tires because this guy's Michelin certified. By the way,
I
in the
was.
nasty, you lose it? Do you have to recertify every couple of years?
Well,
I've got the
expired
plaque
for
with
sure.
the medallion on it somewhere.
Yeah, but does it have an expiry on it?
That's a very good point. This is why, yes.
I'm thinking you.
nailed
Fully,
it.
sure it's
I think you
expired.
could just fully keep just going. Like you should add it on your Twitter bio.
Michelin tire certified.
Damn right.
Expired 2013.
Colin Peters says Michelin sponsored the guide originally when it comes to the
Okay,
restaurant.
thank you. I
and
appreciate
Lance
that.
Kane says the tire company got involved rating restaurants because it was a marketing thing to get people to drive farther to wear out their tires to eat at good restaurants and just evolved from there. So evolved from there.
Is
Thank
that,
you for that.
Is that true?
Yes, that sounds right. I have
Wow.
read about it in the past, and I'm sure. Who was that from? Dennis?
Lance was the last one.
Sorry, Dennis and or Lance. I'm sure they looked it up at work, or if they wouldn't send it in if they didn't know.
Or they just like, that's a pretty good story
I don't
to
think
type
they would
in.
be like, well, just make up Michelin stuff. For
I'll
these
show
guys.
these guys. Although that would be pretty fun to troll us on, like just be that guy that just always sending in the fake info, but sounding like, Also, someone in the nasty chat has the name Nutsy Dielson.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one.
That's our old friend Nutsy Dielson.
I really like that one.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I thought the Michelin
There's
was
some
connected to
other
the tires,
rating.
which I just still find just so fascinating that you have that big mascot who's like involved with rating the best restaurants.
Well,
in the
I
world.
believe that's what they do, Matthew. If you get 3 stars,
Oh,
they
you
actually
get,
just put us 3 stickers of the what's his
That's
name?
what I hope they
Michelin
would do.
Man?
The Michelin Man.
Yeah,
That's
just
what
the
I,
Michelin
that'd
Man.
be amazing. Put that on the plaque at least. Just take that the Michelin Man.
Yeah, like
Just
you
'cause
go
it's-
to some of these fine restaurants to the
Yeah.
south of France. They got their sign and then the little
There's the Michelin Man.
Michelin Man on
Monsieur
it.
Michelin.
Oui, oui. You know?
Another text says, I think most nitrogen fills supposed to be 98 to 99% pure nitrogen.
And yours isn't as pure now.
No, it's not. It's
So, but you had to get here.
I got here safely.
So was it all your tires or was it just one?
I did all of them, and they were all like 5 psi.
But you
low.
could have driven here. Like, I'm curious about this story.
Okay, now I'm not. Yes,
You could have
Thank
not.
Reid.
Like, what? Under what circumstance did you check the air pressure in your tires first thing in the morning?
I got the thing on my car dash. It says tire pressure low.
Okay.
Check tire pressure.
Okay.
And it
'Cause
doesn't say which one, so you hit every one. It's like, oh, well, all of them were down.
Oh, that's sad.
Because by saying 5, like you could be a little low, but now you
Did I
were
go
extremely
overboard?
low. You were
Yes.
extremely low.
No, that's survivable. That's okay. Like, did
Yeah,
I
but
go
the light
overboard?
came on.
Yeah, the light was
Yeah.
on.
Okay. I thought maybe you just looked at your tires now and thought, oh, they kind of look a little low. Boom, 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 boom.
No, I got the warning.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I thought. He eyeballed it.
Yeah, it's like,
like,
well,
I'm
you
not-
could have
I'm
probably
good.
waited.
Looks like
And
not
there-
low tires
there wasn't
again,
the
Myrtle.
obvious one tire that was just like completely flat or something.
No, that's,
okay.
That's don't drive on that unless you have a tire inflator and can quickly get to a tire repair
Maybe
shop.
that's your mutant power. Is that you can just look at a tire and know whether
It's
or not
about
it
20
needs to be-
psi too low.
Yeah,
We don't talk about my mutant
need a little
power.
bit there.
So what?
That's
I'm in
your-
the X-Men.
That'd be awesome.
It's good to see you guys.
Inflation man, but not money.
You write it. We'll get it published. We'll talk to Fearless Fred. Done.
We could have this as maybe a full just play.
An
And we
EST
could do
production.
it at the Fringe.
Yeah, we could do that
You guys
too.
could put the Fringe show on.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great time.
I want to be in the Fringe again.
Would I have to wear a
Have you
scarf
been?
and intro the show
Yes,
every time? I
Yes.
don't.
Well,
you
you're
would.
part of it, so I don't think you could
want
intro.
I think
it.
you'd play yourself.
I don't
Or
want-
you'd
You're
play
playing
the hero.
No.
Yeah,
You'd play the titular character.
We go
Yeah.
get DiCaprio to play me.
Yes, at the Edmonton Fringe.
Yeah.
That's I'm sure.
Yep.
So Leo, look,
Got a great.
we know
deal
you
for
usually get $15 million a movie, but we can give you $150 per performance, and we'll take you to the Black Dog both
Every night.
Fridays of the Fringe.
Yeah.
Well, every night.
I'll take him every night. Okay. He's paying.
he wants to go bar. Why would he be paying?
because he's a bazillionaire.
Yeah, but you're
Yeah, but
hiring him.
He's working for us.
The principal, Matthew. It's an honor to do this show at the Fringe that we're talking about hypothetically.
And Leo just wants it so
Leo
bad.
just wants it
he's
so
always
bad.
he's done so much in his career, but the Edmonton Fringe Fest
Edmonton Fringe.
with
working
Edmonton
for-
Sports Talk
Working
is
for a
just
couple of sportscasters.
gone there. He just
the
wants that.
northernmost metropolis in North America.
Go from Martin Scorsese to
that?
doing something with Tom and Reid.
What's the problem here?
No, I see how it just becomes like
Brilliant minds.
Are you going to stop it, Leo? Like you might have more people applying for this now.
Wow. We want Margot Robbie to play the love interest.
Oh, so then you're not going to play yourself
I've-
in this now?
I find small cast shows generally work better, Tom.
We'll have to discuss further off the air.
Though Leo would be the only one handsome enough to play you, Tom.
There
He's the everyman.
If you're looking at in like who's like Tom's movie, who plays him type thing, he would be one of the guys I would have to throw out there.
You guys
Like,
got to
have
be the same age.
similar
No,
looks
he'd
and
be a
things
little
No,
like
he's
that.
like 10 years older
He'd be a
than
little.
me.
You guys
really?
have similar looks and
Yeah.
hairstyles pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Leo would actually be a guy that I would be like, yeah, that
I would
makes
cast
sense.
as Tom for sure.
Yes, 100%.
Love it. Thank you for agreeing.
But I just don't know if you're getting him for the Fringe as much, where he has to pay for everything. That's where you've took it too far.
Damn it.
I think like
We got a sponsor.
like you have to treat Leo.
Fine. I will. We're going to all the restaurants where I know the managers.
Oh, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
that's
don't tell
say-
anyone that.
Actually, then you look better to Leo. That these people are taking care of you and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's just like, see, I'm the Leo of Edmonton.
Yeah, I
Look
wish.
at me go.
I
you know?
wish. There's a lot of guys who think they are. Hey, oh,
Yeah, but there's only one that could be it, and it's this guy right here.
your check's in the mail, Matty.
We'll get to hockey talk a little more when Belsey comes. We'll also talk some football and NFL. But Reid, with you here, just quickly, what your thoughts on the Elks bringing in McLeod Bethel Thompson on the 1-year deal, and the move and what was said yesterday by Chris Jones
Well,
and MBT.
My first reaction was that I felt bad for Trey Ford. And I suppose as someone who covers the team, but I also have had season tickets to the team since '97, so there's a connection there. Trey Ford was sort of what I needed last year. It was so dismal because they weren't just 0-8; they were not close except for a couple of games. They weren't exciting.
2 shutouts.
It's not like they were losing 40,
BC.
30, and it's like, well, they lost, but man, oh man, they're a high-flying team. So when Ford started playing, I started looking forward to the games again and thinking we might win, even against some of the better teams. You thought, who knows, maybe he goes off. I know they didn't really beat any of the better teams, but still. So that was my first thought. I was like, oh no, what if Trey Ford is so upset he doesn't want to play here anymore? Like I start going down all these paths. But then, just purely objectively from a football standpoint, McLeod Bethel Thompson right now is a better quarterback than Trey Ford. He's actually probably better than half the starting quarterbacks currently in the league because he was when he played here for Toronto. So I think that, I guess my dream scenario is that MBT plays a lot. Ford plays sometimes. Maybe he's out in special packages or certain situations. Still gets to play, really soaks in. Now there's somebody else to learn from besides just Jarius Jackson, the OC. There's somebody else to learn from. And then we see at the end of the year if they're going to bring MBT back, or then it's like, okay, MBT, you helped us, and now you've mentored Ford. Because Ford he's so tantalizing with the way he can move. I mean, he glides when he runs, and it's like he's at his top speed just instantaneously. And I know there are other running quarterbacks in the CFL, but just his moves and his explosiveness is pretty special. But sure, last year there were times where you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure he should have run there, or should have he looked for a receiver for a little bit longer. And I think we saw the last 3 or 4 games, because they got, when they won those 4 and 5, they were against the other lousy teams in the league, but they still won them. And then as we saw, Toronto handled them fairly easily. Winnipeg, they did okay. Montreal, that Montreal game, that was like their best 25 minutes of the year.
They had the game.
And then you saw, well, they're not quite good enough yet.
That was harsh.
So, then you saw, okay, maybe against the high-end competition, he's not there yet. So I think it's a good move. They certainly need to beef up the O-line. I mean, I think they need probably a couple O-linemen, because you want to protect this guy, and then if Ford plays, you got to protect him too. But I get it. But I know Chris Jones is under fire, as he should be. I mean, he's 8-28. I don't think he can ride the reputation of 2015 or even making Saskatchewan better for any longer. So I mean, he has to win this, because let's face it, coach's cap or whatever, they're not going to worry about that for 1 year. I mean, doing it for 2 years, if they would have fired him this year, sure. But if he's lousy this year, they're not going to give him a 4th year just to avoid the coach's cap penalty. And let's face it, guys, the team has not been good since 2017. It really has been. I know a lot of people tie it into 2021, and there's still some people that insist it's because they changed the name and all that kind of stuff. But in 2018, they started well, complete collapse in the second half of the year, missed the playoffs. Though 2019, they were actually good the first half, and then again, not good in the second half. And that season is dressed up a little bit because they crossed over to the weaker East and actually won a playoff game. But really, they weren't a Grey Cup quality team that year. They weren't a Grey Cup quality team in 2018. So they haven't been a Grey Cup quality team when they were 12-6 in 2017. What did they have that year? One of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah,
when Riley was still here. I mean, Harris had his moments, but then he got hurt, and obviously everything kind of fell apart from there. And then we went through a bunch of guys in Cornelius, and then Ford gave us that hope. But I do think with MBT, it's only a 9-team league, so I would say he should be in the top half of quarterbacks if you look around, and if you look back at how some quarterbacks struggled last year.
Yeah.
But you need 2. You need 2 because not a lot of guys are playing 18 games anymore. I mean, we've had years where every starting quarterback has missed time.
The concern, though, if you need two, though, is how different of quarterbacks they are, and how their styles are so different. And is the O-line ready? And you're going to make the changes. Hopefully, the team makes the changes to the O-line. But that if MBT's out there, he's not a guy that's going to run as much. Where if Trey Ford's out there, he's a guy that can run a lot. And
But I think that's good if they're different, though. I think that's good if they're different because who are you defending, right? If you're out there, okay, it's MBT, we're doing this. So Ford comes in, okay, why is he in? Or did they call a play for him to run?
Yeah.
Is it a quote unquote normal play, but he still might take off? So I don't mind that if he can come in and mix it up a little bit.
Would it not be similar to Cornelius and Ford, two different style quarterbacks? I know Cornelius could kind of scramble every now and then, but he was supposed to be a pocket passer
like if they were going into the season with those two, or like last year.
like last year.
So, but the plan wasn't for Trey Ford.
Yeah,
The plan
that's
was
true.
for him to be the number 3, and it was Jared Daggy. That was the number 2. They kind of were. Chris Jones's hands were completely forced in the end, based on the record and the way the thing was going, to go with Trey Ford.
Yeah.
Well, Ford was behind Loxley too, right?
Yeah,
He
that-
didn't-
I said
he
that
didn't
yesterday.
Dress a couple games, like Loxley finally
He just quit.
decided not to
quit.
play anymore.
Yeah.
Not for Edmonton anyway.
Well,
Wound up on Hamilton.
Yeah.
Okay, what is winning for Chris Jones this year? Like, what is that level? Because, like you say, Chris Jones has to win this year. And
Well, I
that's
think-
the thing. Is it Grey Cup? Are we talking about? Is it a West playoff day? Like, what is winning for Chris Jones this
I
year?
think
where
bare
he can have a
minimum-
job still for 2025.
I think bare minimum they have to make the playoffs. Bare minimum. I think if they have a home playoff game, then it's a pretty good season.
Yeah.
Like if they're top 2 in the West. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. And I know it's like, well, they've only won 8 games the last 2 years. How are they going to win 10 or 11 to get a home game? Things turn around quick. And I mean, the
Who
division
falls off though?
Well, okay, Saskatchewan and Calgary are in the same boat Edmonton is.
Correct.
They have to get a lot better.
If Edmonton beats Saskatchewan twice last year,
And if they hold on Labor Day,
they're
probably in the
they're-
playoffs.
They're well in the playoffs.
They would
at that
like
point.
they
Like,
could have
were
got
in a-
6 or 7 wins and been
They
in.
had they had the chance. So it's just
Yeah.
as long as those teams don't get better,
But
better like
BC,
more than
Winnipeg-
you are, more than you get better.
I think
you have a
BC's.
chance.
I at some point Winnipeg's going to age out,
Sure.
quote unquote.
Age out, or who
Although
knows?
We
They have
thought
a
it
lot
might
of
happen
free
last
agents.
year.
Mike Miller retired because he named special teams consultant, right? Or was it
Right.
defensive consultant?
I can't remember. Probably
One of-
special.
yeah,
Rich
teams.
Hall's out as
special teams.
DC. It sounds like out there, but
Yeah.
like their whole O line, unless I've missed the re-signings, they're all free agents this year. Their entire
gonna get
offensive
plucked.
line.
Yeah, and is it Bryant that's like 38 or something like
Yeah.
that?
Oh, I think they re-signed him.
Or did they resign him?
I
So anyway,
think maybe the one, yeah.
But-
but no, like it's like either they're old or they're all free agents right now, and that in itself is Zach Collaros does look good because he is the offensive line, and that's kind of the thing though. I'd like to see from Trey Ford though is I would have liked to have seen him get the offensive line. And
Same.
Look, Chris Jones, he has a job this year because of Trey Ford. 8 wins over the last 2 years, 5 of those were Trey Ford.
yeah, that's right. He won the
that's-
one.
And
yeah.
that's the thing for me. It's just like where it's like, why isn't Chris Jones giving him the chance here to be the starter? Because if it is to make the playoffs, I think Trey Ford could go 9-9 with this team if you give him an offensive line. If instead of spending the $400 hard money on MBT, you put that all into 2 or 3 offensive linemen to bolster that O line. I think it's there that this team could go win those extra games where they are in the playoffs. And you just need a veteran backup quarterback, which I wouldn't have been upset if it was Taylor Cornelius. But I don't know. Like, this is trying to win this year. And with MBT, I don't see as much of the winning long term with him as Trey Ford, because I could see Trey Ford just choosing to walk after this season.
Well,
And then
that's
Chris
the scary
Jones
thing,
next
right?
year,
Yeah,
he's
either
sitting
one.
there going, well, we need to
If
find
he's
another
there.
quarterback.
Right.
Well, and then that's
Yeah.
if Chris Jones isn't there, then I'm thinking Trey Ford's still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how they do and how Ford is used. I mean, here's the thing: Ford could still wind up playing a lot if Bethel Thompson gets injured. He
What
could
if-
still
Yeah.
he could still wind up playing a lot, or maybe if he outplays him, who knows? Right? I just think
If Trey Ford outplays him in training camp, I don't think there's a chance he starts over MBT.
no,
with Chris
probably
Jones.
not. No,
with Chris
probably
Jones.
not.
I think that contract really signifies their intention.
Like Chris Jones said it yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. And then if they had signed him for like 250,000 or like even 300, it's easier to swallow. But upwards of $500,000 by the end of the season, if he hits some incentives, it's like, I get it. That's a message.
I just think if I take the emotion out of it, how much Ford excited me and how I really wanted him to succeed. MBT Ford is better than Ford, Daigie, Horny, or somebody I don't know.
Yeah.
As a duo, and I do think Ford will start games in 2024 because I just think there could be injuries, slumps, whatever.
Yeah. Well, there better not be a slump for McLeod Bethel Thompson. I'll say that. Like, he's being brought in with all that money, and you might be causing a rift with Trey Ford that he, for this franchise, you better hope it doesn't go. Like, this season, they are, to me, better with McLeod Bethel Thompson as the starter over Trey Ford. Like, I will say that, like, this season, they are a better football team. I look at it next 5 seasons. I think having Trey Ford and taking the little lesser of 2024 season and having him as your starter is worth it because I think the long term is better if Trey Ford can hit his potential. Yeah. And the only way he could hit his potential is if he plays. Like, the things, he hasn't started enough. He hasn't played enough games. Well, yeah, but you can't start if you don't get started. Like, there's nothing I saw from him last year that he doesn't deserve to be the starter this year, in a sense.
Yeah, fair enough. I just don't, now Jones is maybe a different case, but I don't know who in the CFL is thinking 5 years down the road. Even at quarterback. I mean, in the NFL, you might be thinking like, hey, 5 years down the road, we could have nobody else on the current team except we like this quarterback. Mm-hmm. I don't know, in the CFL, is anybody planning? I mean, you might hope you got a Canadian O-lineman or somebody that's going to stick around that long.
I would think Rick Lawlisher would have to be just putting himself in the mind who's the next president of this team. To have a guy like Trey Ford, like you have a guy, and so I understand Chris Jones wouldn't be looking as much fun, but like even just next season or the year after, if you're Chris Jones, if you're saying I'm still going to be here because I've won, I'd rather, if I'm a head coach and GM, not have to worry about the quarterbacking position every offseason and know, okay, with Trey Ford, there's a guy that I could also just not have to worry about it anymore because he will be my starter now for the next X number of years. We just have to keep re-signing him.
Well, maybe that's what he's thinking. I don't know if but maybe he's thinking this is the best for Trey Ford, for him to be better in 2025, is to back up McLeod Bethel Thompson and learn from him. Maybe that's what he's thinking. I don't know what he is thinking because Chris Jones isn't going to tell anybody. But if you want, maybe I'm just trying to be an optimist. Maybe that is what he's thinking. Maybe he's thinking like, okay, long term, this is actually better for Trey Ford to give him another year of being a bit of an understudy, and then hopefully we can turn him loose. I don't know.
But then you think of the history and how they were so reluctant, like Matty points out, and you're like, I doubt that that's the actual case. It would be nice in a perfect world.
Well, I know. But still, are they going to turn him into a defensive back or stuff? But
okay, I'm going to read these texts. 780-218-9999 if you want to get in on the conversation. It is the EST Hangout. Gazzola, Iwanyk, Reid Wilkins with you on this Tuesday. This text says, or stacking 2 texts says, with no O-line, MBT will spend more time on his back than Ford did. Also, having to sign MBT to mentor the quarterback shows you how very little faith in your coaches to develop the quarterback. Or you have very little faith in your coaches to develop the quarterback.
Well, the O-line's a total concern. I agree. I mean, I had a similar text to my show last night. Yeah. They have to get a better O-line. That's an interesting comment about having little faith in your coaches, because I don't think that's the case. I think Chris Jones believes in Jarius Jackson, that he can help him, and I think he did help him last year. I mean, I guess I would look at it more like we were talking about earlier. Is it a sign that Jones doesn't deep down have faith in Trey Ford, that he still has questions about him? I would think. Well, I would hope Jones has faith in his coaches. I mean, let's face it, he had faith in McAdoo far beyond anybody else did.
Right. Yeah. He was loyal to the end,
let's face it, guys.
I'll be intrigued to see if he's still part of the coaching staff. When
he's still listed as a consultant. I checked yesterday.
I imagine somebody will hire him as an O-line
week
coach.
Or so, it's this week or next week they should be having their coaching announcements, and I'll be intrigued to see if he's still part of it in that advisor role or something.
Yeah. That's a really interesting way to look at it. I don't look at it that way. I guess we'll see. Because I think Jones does have faith in his coaching staff, because I would hope that Jones is looking at it as Jarius Jackson is helping Trey Ford and McLeod Bethel Thompson is helping Trey Ford, as opposed to Jarius Jackson is helping Trey Ford, and then Trey Ford is still learning on the fly by being the starter. I would hope that's how he sees it.
It's standard for teams to bring in a veteran with any young guy. Even if they are the starter, you want the veteran behind the young guy to help. And I don't think that's a shot at the coaching staff. It's just, as you pointed out, it's just an extra brain that younger player can go and pick. You know, we see it in the NFL all the time too. You go to a starting quarterback, and it's like a lot of teams, they want that veteran backup to help them. Even if it's 2-3 years in the road, you want that veteran there to help things move along a little bit for a few years. So I don't think that's I don't look at it as Chris Jones doesn't trust Jarius Jackson, that he's bringing in a veteran to help Trey Ford. It is just like, because I think most people that would believe in Trey Ford, even if he got the starting role, you would want a veteran behind him to help him.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they need. I guess
you
the
need
thing
that
is,
veteran quarterback still around this team.
they
in
needed
some
to
way.
sign a quarterback.
Yes.
They needed to sign a quarterback. So Jones decided to sign the guy. And let's face it, other teams wanted him. Probably Ottawa and Hamilton.
yeah.
So other teams wanted him. So they decided to sign a guy who's more likely to be the starter than the backup. It's also interesting talking about the O-line, which I agree with the criticism of it and that they need to beef it up. What's funny is they had a 4 games. Did they not have a 4-game stretch where they rushed for 800 yards? I believe.
Oh, Kevin Brown was unreal this past.
So, I know some of that was 4.
But that's how much was
Brown
4?
had some massive games as well. Now you can say, well, that was maybe, they were worried about Ford getting the ball. But Brown had some pretty good games behind, a quote unquote subpar offensive line. But yes, they got to protect the it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, because I know, okay, well, Ford can get away, but still, you don't want him to take shots. And I mean, you don't want him to be running just because there's never any blocking and one guy gets in free right away.
So Brown had a 5-game stretch where he had 98 yards rushing, 89 yards, 68, 89, 143, 175.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then factor in the Ford yardage. Because they were over 200 yards rushing at least twice, I think, and when they had that good burst in the middle of the season.
It's with the Ford running, I though look and go, some of it was because pocket collapsing, he has to go.
Yes.
And he just
and that forced him.
himself.
Shawn Belle's coming in.
Nice to see you. What's going on?
Look at this
How are you?
guy. What's happening?
What's up, big boy?
Hi, Tom.
Hello, Sean.
How's it going?
Good, thank you.
How are you?
There he is.
Belle's not happy.
There
with
he
me.
is.
Belle's. You shouldn't have issues with me. You shouldn't have any issues
The
with
fact
me.
that I
It's
saw you
good.
and I didn't bring my case of beer for you.
Is that what we went with?
It is a case of
Yes,
beer.
I was
You
the
know
witness
that.
to that.
Thank you. You're trying to up the ante now, huh?
I didn't know if we went lower or what. If it's a full case, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's a full
he's
case.
a Dolphins fan. I'm a Ravens fan. And December 31st was really good for the
They
Baltimore
beat the
Ravens.
brakes
Yes.
off the Dolphins.
They did.
Been reeling ever since.
2-game reel. A full
Been reeling
2-game
ever since.
reeling.
You'll be okay.
Did the Dolphins beat a good team this year?
Yes. The Cowboys.
Cardinals
enough.
beat the Cowboys too, by the way.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
hey, don't pile on. We're supposed to be a team here. You don't get to
Shake
pile
and
on.
bake always.
Who else did they beat this year?
That's it.
I just feel like there
Yeah,
were some
well-
games where the Dolphins
Regular season.
Pissed it away.
didn't rise to the occasion.
Beat
I would
the
agree with you.
Chargers, beat the Pats, beat the Broncos, beat the Giants, beat the Panthers, beat the Patriots, Pats, Raiders, Jets, Commanders,
Technically,
Jets,
the Broncos
Cowboys.
finished 500,
decent
didn't they?
team,
They were a
yes.
decent team.
Chargers, it was the first game of the season. We all thought the Chargers were going to be good.
Yeah.
And they just weren't. So there's that.
Bill Belichick will fix them.
Heard he's going to Atlanta.
Is he going to Atlanta?
That's a rumor.
They
It's a
didn't
rumor
waste
mill.
any
Him?
time getting rid of
Turns
Marco
on.
Smith.
Still under
Atlanta
contract.
is with him and Jim Harbaugh.
Really?
Harbaugh is being thrown out for Atlanta too.
Is he?
But although Jim Harbaugh at the end of the game yesterday, he was doing a hit with ESPN.
Yeah.
And he started talking about how usually they do camp on February 14th, they start practice. And he's like, we might take a month off extra to give the boys a little more time. And it'll be nicer weather in Ann Arbor. So maybe hinting that he's returning.
He's basically
To
just,
Michigan?
here's my time frame for all the interviews I'm going to do.
Touche.
And if nothing's good, I'm coming
I'm back to Michigan.
Yeah, smart play.
Have a day, Jim Harbaugh. Have
Yeah,
a
no
day.
kidding. He deserves it. That was good.
He went back to Michigan with one goal, to restore glory and greatness to that program. And he did it.
thought they
brought
were
them
really
to
good
3
yesterday.
playoffs, won the championship yesterday. And like, sorry to Lucas Holt. He's a big Washington Huskies fan. Sorry that your team fell. I do mean that. Michigan, he might think I don't, but I actually do. But for Michigan, like, I don't. That's one of those iconic college programs.
100%.
That it kind of feels right that
Yeah.
they've won a national title again.
And they almost did it in like a return to yesteryear football. What
Yeah.
I mean by that, it was like they were very, very physical on the line in the trenches, and their defense was lights out. They didn't have like razzle dazzle on the offensive side. Like, they were good, but like their defense was unbelievable, and the trenches were like, you weren't going to sack the quarterback, and if you didn't get 5 sacks, you're surprised.
Ran the ball well, like multiple different running backs.
I was
Old
wondering if there's the college football in the United States is so unique
Yeah.
because Harbaugh, what was it, San Diego State, Stanford,
Yep.
then he went to the 49ers,
Yep.
and I believe
Then
2
Michigan.
NFC championship game appearances and a Super Bowl appearance, and then I think they missed the playoffs, but I think they were
Yeah.
8-8. And then he goes to Michigan. So in what, like, I was just thinking in hockey, that would never happen. You know, where the better job is in the developmental league, right? Or a
Yeah,
job with
yeah.
more stature. I mean, it'd be like John Cooper saying, "You know what? I'm going to go coach the Lethbridge Hurricanes. That's just as good as coaching the Tampa Bay Lightning and winning Stanley Cups. I want to coach
Yeah.
some CHL team."
Bob Hartley, although I think it was because there was no jobs for him at the
Right,
time in
right.
the NHL, ended up in Europe, comes
Willingly.
back
Willingly.
Mike
like,
Babcock
coach-
went to University of
I
Saskatchewan.
elected
Coach-
to go to
Right,
Lugano
coach-
in the Swiss
He
league.
was
Yeah,
in, he was in
coach-
Zurich.
Yeah.
And so was Mark Crawford.
Right.
He also went to Zurich.
Yeah.
So it was like back-to-back years.
Mike Keenan went
Then
to
they-
Russia,
Yeah.
came back.
like an
Like
NHL
Niegors.
coach actually saying, even if he was fired, we're being like, yeah, you know what? There's NHL jobs out there, but I'm going to go coach in the
Yeah.
seat. Like, you know, Saban was in the NFL for a couple of years,
Yeah.
right?
Failed.
Don't remind our buddy, but it actually didn't go that well.
Oh, okay. Let's not
I think he
tell
did
him.
okay, right, with the Dolphins. Was it 2
boy.
years with the Dolphins?
Yep.
Was it 2?
I think it was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they made the playoffs. I think
No,
they might have been
no.
8 or 9 wins,
Yeah.
but.
He made an
so
offensive
so
lineman
he
cry, I
just
remember that.
goes back. Did he? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was
that.
like a training camp, and this offensive lineman's like walking away crying, and it's like, okay.
And then just
It'll happen.
and then it's like if you're Nick Saban, well, here's the thing: if you asked a lot of up and coming football coaches, who would you sooner coach someday, the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Alabama Crimson Tide?
Man,
Like nobody in no hockey coach. Who's like a 25-year-old? You're more in this world than I am, Shawn. But I'm just guessing.
Yep.
If you're a 25-year-old up and coming hockey coach, you're a junior B coach, or you're on an AJ staff or a Dub staff. Okay, when you're 40, do you want to coach the Edmonton Oil Kings or the Edmonton Oilers? Like it'd be
Yeah.
no choice. But for some of the college programs, some coaches might
It's
say,
legitimately a choice.
you know, there's actually more mystique and status with that college team than coaching a
Yeah.
perennial NFL also ran.
yeah. Now, can I also add this to it? Don't get me wrong. Those college coaches put in the work. They're watching game tape. They're in at 5, 6 in the morning. They're there till midnight. Whatever. Like they put in the time, but way less games. It's so cushy because they had a. Remember this stat was put out when we were in Oklahoma, or maybe a few years later. It's like Bob Stoops was the coach of OU, and they're like, he is by far the highest paid public employee in the state, and he was at like $6 million a year at that time. And then they went through every state and who was the highest paid public.
It's a football or basketball coach.
Publicly
generally.
funded employee, and it was always a football coach. Or
Some
a
basketball
coach. Yeah,
coaches.
there was a couple of basketball coaches from a couple of universities that crept in there. But you think about it, your college has the mystique of a great program from decades and decades of good football and an undying, unwavering loyalty to that school, that program, that community, that you have alumni that go on to become millionaires and billionaires that fund that program because they love that damn team. And every Saturday they fly in from wherever they live now and they just want to see them win. So you have unlimited funds. Now the kids can get paid, but they have to go get their NIL deals. But you could tell them what to do. They're impressionable minds. You are the big dog. You're getting paid millions of bucks. And then you only play 10 times that depends if you make the playoffs a year.
Well, Michigan went 15.
They went 15
I
and
think
and
they
they
12.
bumped it up
The
to
regular
12.
And
season
next year,
12,
you're going to
yeah.
have to go a couple more games.
Yeah. Okay. So
If you want to win.
all right,
them
now it's creeping up to like pro scheduling, but like these jobs are so cushy and so lucrative, and you could just go and settle in, and you don't have the stress that you do of NFL head coaches.
But there's only a few jobs like Jim Harbaugh that you go from the NFL and you take a college job. You
Right.
don't take any of those.
Right.
There's
fair enough. There
Alabama,
are many,
Michigan,
but there are some.
right at that top where
Yes.
they're there. But there's the money there and there's the prestige of those programs. But in the end, the best football coaches are still in the NFL. And if you want to be like Bill Belichick is a greater coach than Nick Saban, because Bill did it at the highest level, and Nick Saban never could do it in the NFL. And there's very few that could do both. Jim Harbaugh has now confirmed that he is a great coach in both levels. He's gone to the Super Bowl, didn't win it, but got there, 2 NFC Championship games. Now has one in college. Pete Carroll's a guy that did it. Jimmy Johnson's a guy that did it. Doesn't happen too often. But I think in the end, you look at it, and the best coaches, they're generally in the NFL. If you ask a lot of those college guys, I think outside of the top programs like the Michigan and Alabamas, you start going down the program list and you say you got a shot at the NFL. I think most would take that shot at the NFL, but they're just not good enough.
Do you think Saban goes to the Dolphins, it doesn't work out for him? Is that because when he's in Alabama, it's his way or the highway, right? He's making, how much money is he making? 10 million?
Around there.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
he's
so
over, yeah.
$10 million bucks a year,
Probably
as a
more
coach.
than in the NFL even.
But you go to the NFL and you got guys that are making more than you that literally will say, "Hey, man, you're not going to treat me that way." Like the biggest thing that comes to my mind is we watched the Florida Gators doc with
Urban Meyer?
with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer implemented this whole structure and culture that it was almost too far to one side, whether like right, wrong, or indifferent, doesn't really matter. But he was the guy, and he put this system in place, and young guys are going to go in there and they're going to say, okay, well, I want to be part of Florida, and I have to do this, or I'm not going to be here. And this is the best program in football in those years. So you show up, you do your thing, you get the best players, you've clearly got the best, recruiting tactics. And then you go and you try to do that in the NFL where guys got kids, they make just as much money than you, if not more, and you try to do that, well, it's never going to fly there. Now, is that part of the reason why they're not the good coach? Because you still take, the coach and you put him in different systems. Like you can still build another program in college to get to that level. So you clearly are actually a decent coach.
Really, yes.
But what is it like? Where's what changes? You know what I mean? Like between you being Nick Saban at Alabama, out coaching people, out recruiting people, you go to the Dolphins and you can't even piss a drop.
I think you nailed it there, though. It's like when you're a college coach, you could be rougher, you could be harder. Kids want to be at your program because they want that shot at the NFL, so they'll just listen to you. There's the cycle. They're there for 5 years at most.
Yeah.
You're churning new guys, new people. So it's your culture. You don't have a time for a room to start turning on you because you could revoke scholarships if you want to. There's now the transfer portal, which helps where people could just bolt if they don't like the coach type thing.
That's become incredible to watch the transfer
It's
portal.
amazing. And then you go to the NFL and it's
Yeah.
the guys have their contracts and the GM has his job and that coach is the GM basically in college football.
Yes.
There now you've got GM, you got president, you got ownership, you got the fan base that's all following this, and you got that offensive lineman who's now guaranteed for X amount of money, and you want to piss him off, he's going to be mad. And those guys, as the adults, they've got mortgages, they've got more life responsibilities that are focused on them. They don't have time for a coach to come in and be that way to them, so they're going to push back. Like Urban Meyer went to the Jacksonville, look how that turned out, type thing, right? Yeah. And when you go to college, you have more leeway to be who you are, be more demanding than you would in the NFL. The NFL, you have to try to find a way to work with those players, and I don't know if some of those coaches have that ability.
But from a pure coaching perspective, it's not like Nick Saban's a bad coach.
No, he's great. He's one of the greatest coaches we still will ever see in football.
Where's the disconnect there? Like from a pure coaching perspective, if you're Nick Saban and you're at Alabama, and it's not like he hasn't outcoached people, because he has. He's outcoached multiple people.
Yeah.
So you put him now into the NFL. Why isn't he out coaching? And I obviously know the first thing is going to be, well, there's other coaches that are just as good. But this guy is like truly, truly sought after at every single level. Like there's still NFL teams that are like, let's go try to get Nick Saban. And he's not leaving because he's making $10 million and he's got an ultra cushy job, to your point and to your credit. So where's that disconnect, I guess, is what I'm asking.
The type of control?
You're
I don't
not
know.
coaching the best players.
Yeah,
anymore?
is it how much is just related to the quality of the player? I mean,
maybe.
even in, and I know Saban coaches in the best conference in the States, but I mean, we've all seen this. As the lower down you go, there's more discrepancy between the best player and the worst player.
Yes.
Right? In the NFL, it's less discrepancy between the best. I mean, as much as Alabama plays in the best conference, there are a couple teams in there that they would never lose to.
Yes.
I know it's very deep, and most of the powerhouse teams have a patsy or two earlier in the season. They would like literally never lose to. It's not like, there's a 5% chance. Like in the NFL, what's an upset? Even a poor team might have a 30% chance to win a game, right? Yep. So there's maybe that's what it is. You get into that gap or you get into that situation, and now that line between winning and losing is even tighter. So you can't go 11-1. Now you're going 9-7 or 8-8. I guess now there's 17 games. There was still 60. So is it just that simple? You move up a step. The talent gap is tighter.
Yeah.
And he doesn't appear to be as good, though obviously tactically he understands the game as well as anybody.
Yeah.
But you would know this better. But like in college, if you're a player going out there, you're trying to get to the next level. So you want to give it your all every game. Even if Nick Saban's in your ear yelling at you, you want to give it all
true.
your next game.
Yeah.
In the NFL, if I've got a contract and I'm sitting pretty, I could be like, you'll be gone if in a couple of games.
If I mail it
I
in,
don't care. I don't care. Oh, you want me to go try a little hard? Oh, okay, thanks, coach.
Yeah.
And then if players, you don't have those players motivated enough, they don't care. They'll turn on you, and they could wait you out potentially because that owner's going to sit there and be like, you're gone. Very few coaches in the NFL have the ability to outweight the players in a sense, and to do that, you have to win first.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick has been there for a long time. He had that ability to do it. John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, and Baltimore, Pittsburgh, they could do it almost whatever they want in a sense. But a new guy who's only been there for a year or two, that other player who's guaranteed $68 million or whatever, he'll just look at Nick Saban and go, "Thanks, coach."
It's fair. You're not wrong, in any way, shape, or form. Like that is true. That is true.
And then just like Nick Saban's flirted with going back to the NFL. I don't think it'll ever happen now because of his age. But over the last 10 years, he's flirted with going back, and it's just that to me that also just shows that you want to win in the NFL. These guys always if Nick Saban could have had his career instead just in the NFL at this doing what he did, he would have probably taken.
Well, there's only one Super Bowl.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You can either say you won it or you didn't. I really enjoy this discussion because. I guess unfortunately it's a little more American focused, but I mean, like Krzyzewski was one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't coach in the NBA, like a game.
Yeah. But then he also coached in the Olympics,
right? With pros,
and all those players respected him,
right?
And he got them back to where they needed to be,
right? Yeah,
so,
and I should say, we're not talking like Saban was a total goofball with Miami. It's just it never took off. And there have been basketball coaches who've gone back and forth or coached at both levels, but it almost seems like some of the guys who were the great college coaches, that was more
never translates
sort of
to
their niche for whatever reason. I'm probably missing examples of guys that won both, but that
NBA,
is
that's a tough one. I don't know if there's a lot that would have done.
Well, I
in the
mean,
NBA.
Calipari coached in both,
but he didn't win in the NBA.
Didn't he go to the NBA twice? Didn't he coach the Celtics and the Knicks?
I think you might be right. I think I know he went to the Celtics.
Yeah, who's the guy that got choked? He coached college and the NBA, right? Carlissimo, the guy that Sprewell choked.
Yeah,
is that PJ Carlissimo? I wish we were talking about this. I would have looked stuff up
but that's
ahead
the
of time.
beauty of this program. It goes anywhere, and you don't expect.
Calipari was with the Nets. He was an assistant with the 76ers. Nothing with Boston.
Patino went to the NBA.
Yeah.
Patino went to the NBA.
He went to the
well.
NBA.
Yes, so.
There's Billy Donovan went to the NBA. Well, still in the NBA.
Yeah. So I know that's
Okay, so
that's
then
different. But
does that open up the discussion of this one? Okay, so we go back to this Nick Saban one. Okay, so he got 2 years to fix the Dolphins. Well, when he came in, the previous coach obviously had his style, his players that he wanted. And so now you bring in Nick Saban, and he probably has a completely different idea of who he wants. So are you giving him enough rope to build the team that he wants?
But he didn't leave because he was fired.
Fair.
Did he just
No,
go
he
back
got-
on his
he
own
left
accord?
because he got it's
They
Alabama.
offered him because there was even the press conference like, you going to Alabama? He's like, no, I'm like basically shut it down. And
Yeah,
then, like
yeah.
6 days later,
He was in
being
Alabama.
introduced in Alabama.
Right.
Yeah,
It's because
but-
Alabama came with the
the
Brinks
bag.
truck and
the
said,
vault. What do
"Come
you want,
here."
Nick?
And things weren't going as well in Miami that he went, okay, I'll just go back to college.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
at the time. What was
but that's it's still the same point. Like
9-7, 6-10.
Urban Meyer, for example,
Yeah.
he got fired. Obviously, Urban Meyer was doing some extracurricular stuff that he probably
That
shouldn't
that
have
was
done,
a
disaster.
right? So, but it's still that same conversation. You bring these guys in, you give them 1 or 2 years, and then you're like, you know what, this didn't work. See you later. Right. So now there's a fine line between, well, has a coach overstayed his welcome? And, well, did you give him enough time to say, hey, well, I want to be a ground and pound team to I want to be a West Coast offense?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because if I go from
the coach
Mike
part?
McDaniel and then all of a sudden I want to switch and I want to be, John Harbaugh, well, that's a completely different style. And now 2 years isn't going to get me the style that I want.
right.
Dave Wanstead was the coach prior. That
Who
brings
was
me,
the
that
guy-
name brings
Dave
me back.
Wanstead is
That just
100%
brings me back.
a ground and pound guy.
Jeez.
Who was the guy? Was it Chip Kelly
He went from Oregon to Philly.
from Oregon?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Was he
He
ever
was
with the
amazing.
Niners?
Yeah, so he was 2
Philly
seasons
was
with
first.
Philly,
And he was the guy that had the big signs.
and
It would be like Homer Simpson's head, the number 4.
Yeah.
first
a black
season of
line,
the year.
And it's like, what's the.
Eagles were
don't need
unbelievable
to
that
know.
first year, just high power running, all that exciting defenses. Then spent the offseason looking at it and then shut them down.
So they
Got
were good
fired.
his first year,
Went to the
okay.
49ers. I think lasted a season, and now is at UCLA. And it's the first half of the season was actually doing really well this year. This is like his 5th year there or something. Second half it tailed off.
Okay.
He's on the hot seat a little bit.
Yeah,
up
I
there.
just remember because he had.
Yeah.
I know other teams do that now,
Yeah.
but he had those really, and there'd be like 4 of them, right? So it's like, which one's the play call? What do they mean?
Homer Simpson.
Well, they did have. Some,
I
don't know if it
know.
was Homer.
I just find it funny when they do that.
That's what I would have.
I
just have the Simpsons family.
It's your team. You can do whatever you want.
But that's the thing also of college is it's a lot easier to win to a degree in college because you could be more gimmicky.
Yes, and the
Other teams have a tougher time stopping it, where that is a perfect example where he brought it for a year. It worked.
yeah.
But defensive coordinators then study that. And defenses will figure it out eventually.
Yes.
And they shut it down. And Chip Kelly didn't have another alternative to switch as his coach. That's his style of coaching. And it worked in college, and it worked at Oregon. He could do it year in and year out. He could just keep recruiting players for that. It's hard to stop it, and you could just keep bringing in the right players for your system.
Right,
You go to the
there's
NFL, all of a sudden the other teams are stopping you, and you have to go up against different teams, and it just doesn't work as easily.
There's you can just overwhelm with talent at a
Yes.
lower level. And obviously, the NCAA football is not a low level, but it's lower than the NFL. This reminds me of a story that when Morley. It's the Elks show, but it used to specifically be the coaches show.
Right.
So even when Moss was here, he would do once a week.
Odd that it would have to become the coach's show or the Elk show now with this current coach.
Yeah, he doesn't make himself as
I know.
available as others. But I think it was when Cavis Reed was coaching, and they would actually take calls. So I heard this, but then Morley told me what happened later. So Morley's there, Cavis is on the other side of the desk, and this caller calls in and says, Cavis, why don't you just guys go use the wishbone offense? Like, there's so many successful college teams that run the wishbone. And he said, Cavis is just sitting there and just goes, like, yeah, there's a reason nobody uses the wishbone in pro football because I don't even know who uses it in college anymore, actually. But
It's
used
like
to be a
sticking
thing.
with the Wildcat.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like let's. I don't
You
know.
pull it out occasionally.
Yeah.
You don't have
Next
to pull it all the
caller.
time, so that's. But and then there's also then just the money at college. It's just insane. And I will say this because you brought up that they're the highest paid public
In their
employee in their
states,
state.
yeah.
I understand why colleges and universities do it, because if you have a top football program, the money you bring in funds your entire sports department.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yep.
It funds everything else.
And then some.
And so you want the best coach who's going to bring in the best players so that you win, so you keep bringing in that money. And that's why they pump money into the facilities for those players.
They're
Because
amazing.
if it's better to recruit these players and it helps you win, that means we can have the swim team go do whatever they need to do.
Yep.
We can have the hockey team go do whatever they need to do.
Right.
It's mostly the football program and then a little bit of the basketball program that fund the athletic departments in the UNS.
Yeah.
And so how do you get those people to win? You need to pay them.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's an investment. That's the way I look at those ones. If you win, it's an investment. But then it is tough pill to swallow when you hear a coach getting fired and, you know, what Jimbo Fisher with Texas A&M is going to walk away with like $70 million or something to not
Right,
coach
yeah,
for them
yeah, to
again.
not
And
do anything.
you hear
Yeah.
those ones like, oh boy, that's
It's crazy.
a
then
tough one.
Here's another one that kind of is, I mean, here's another end of the spectrum where you're just like, damn it, these guys have too much money and there's some shadiness. Was a couple of years ago when Brett Favre was soliciting I think it was the University of Mississippi or where his daughter went to school, and they needed a new volleyball facility. So they needed $5 million, and then they had like a gala, raised like $1 million, and then I think portions of the other $4 million were diverted from state funding from what was supposed to be, I think, like for homelessness and people in need to the volleyball facility. So that crap still happens too. It's
Oh, yeah.
the universities and colleges in the U.S., man. Like it's free reign to almost do whatever you want. Unfortunately,
Because it's their culture.
yeah.
They like, just think about yesterday, there was a national championship game being played in Houston, and students from Michigan and Washington flew out there to go watch their team play. And then they're supposed to be in class yesterday and today and all that, but no one cares.
Yeah.
No one
cares.
That's what you do. And a week before, they were out at the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, and that's just what you do.
Yep.
And every week you go out and you go support your team, whether at home or you try to go away if you can.
Yep.
And no one bats an eye. That's their culture.
I'm going.
It's the closest that you're going to get in North America to soccer culture. Soccer
Interesting.
culture is the same type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, Liverpool plays on a Wednesday in Madrid. People travel from Liverpool to Madrid.
Well, that flight's like
watch.
$100.
Yeah, that's not as far as
but-
probably
Yeah.
Right, but it's
Washington to Houston.
it's a time, it's a commitment.
True.
It's middle of the week, and it doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
go do that.
Yeah.
Because you're there to support your club. It doesn't matter where you, and you do that all year. That's just, you know, watch
Most of those
Wrexham.
people are
People get on the
probably
bus,
driving.
they go
Yeah.
do that and stuff, and that's what you get in the college with the States.
It is a different culture. It's interesting.
I wish we cared as much like that
Same,
sometimes
yeah. I was
for
gonna bring that up.
collegiate, but I'm also glad we don't, because don't have that full pressure, and we like. I look at U Sports and I do see student athlete in that order.
Right.
Yep.
It's the opposite in the States. It's athlete student.
well, the high end guys. I mean, they know they're going pro. I mean,
Yeah. But that's starting to happen at the U Sport level in hockey. A lot of these top end guys are ending up going pro.
To second level.
true. Yeah.
But yes,
It's
bro.
just not the
Yeah.
NHL,
It's just
but yeah.
it's not in the NHL, but some of them make their way to the HL level, so like they're still
true.
getting to that level. So
Europe,
there's
lot of
still could there be a little bit more to U Sport? Like, could there be more coverage?
Oh,
Like to me, like it
100%.
makes more
Well,
sense.
there could be a
to-
lot more
course, but-
coverage.
You know, like we're almost doing that a disservice because obviously we're so, especially here in Edmonton, we're so Oiler focused and Oiler centric. But at the same time, like U of A Golden Bears are an unbelievable hockey team. McEwen is an up and coming team that's really good. I coached at Nate for years. Like we used to play against the Bears and have really good games against them. So it's like we're doing these kids a disservice by not even showing up. And the Bears probably have the best attendance of all those programs I just talked about. But
Yeah.
They got that history, and
They got the history.
standing
There's-
that there's a love for it.
Yeah,
Like I have no connection to the U of A personally. Like
Yeah.
my dad went, but not me or anything. And I love the Golden Bears.
yeah.
Like there's just, I don't know, there's that connection.
I just
they've
wish there
built.
was more of a drive to like, okay, Friday night, like we're going to the Bears game or we're going
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
McEwen game. Like it'd just be really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean that's if this were an American city. I mean, the U of A hockey team would have Rogers Place,
Yeah.
or close
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But this is the whole thing, right? I've talked about this with you guys before. Sean's probably even heard me say it. Like, if you would have told me in 1988 that there was going to be 5 TSNs, I would have thought, okay, there's going to be a U Sports. What was it called then? CIAU. There's going to be there's going to be a
I'm a big CIA
hockey
guy.
game on.
That was the golden years.
You love those vowels.
It's just it rolled off the
He
tongue.
remembers them vividly.
But there would have been, I would have said, okay, well, TSN 1 will be like TSN is now, Blue Jays and CFL.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't have, or whatever. And TSN 2 will be the CHL channel. So there'll be a major
Component
junior
of that,
game on every night of the week.
Yep.
And there'll be, then the other channels will have junior A hockey and all the other U sports, volleyball and basketball, and all these games will be televised, and we'll get random golf and tennis events from around Canada. But of course,
So
there's not
basically
the
what
money to do all
ESPN
that.
does.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy that the running joke is they call it the Ocho, which is like the lowest part of the ESPN family, but they cover all the outrageous sports.
Yep.
So they still cover all the everything. And then they have their own designated college station. They've got literally whatever you want.
Yep.
We've got 5 TSN. We've got 3 or
Well,
4
half of those are
Sportsnet.
blacked out most nights. So
Well, and that's kind of the thing. It's like there's just so much
Or
that you could
repeats.
actually cover here in
Countdown
Canada.
shows.
But
those
it's
countdown shows.
hockey.
Well, there's less money that they're being pumped into this country, and to a degree, like when you're the U.S. and you're attracting 350 million people, advertisers will give you money. I guess.
90,000.
But
Alabama.
Yeah.
Outdoor women's volleyball.
volleyball is just blowing up
That's unheard
in the
of. That's
States.
crazy. Yeah.
That
With
they're-
it's interesting because they are behind us in volleyball
Yes.
collegiately.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the national
yeah.
team because I didn't know that. Well, I guess several years ago now, but I don't know if they do it anymore. But the Bears and Pandas would have that Can-Am
Yes.
challenge, and it'd be like Calgary, Saskatchewan, Alberta, maybe UBC, and then it was like UCLA, USC, Pepperdine,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Oklahoma or something.
yeah, I don't think they do that
And
anymore.
then I finally got to talk to when Gooch was there or Daniluk was coaching, and
Yeah.
it's like, most of the volleyball in the States, it's West Coast, and there aren't enough teams to have like all the conferences, right? So it's kind of just almost like hockey. It doesn't have exactly the same leagues, but they said, they want to come up and play the Canadian schools because they get better competition. That's why UCLA would come to Edmonton to play Alberta, Calgary, and Saskatchewan on
That's
a
cool.
weekend because they'd actually get better competition. Now, high end, obviously, the U.S. national team's usually great, but the U Sports volleyball is like more like developed and organized than NCAA volleyball.
well, and like the Golden Bears and Pandas, that's one of their top programs is the volleyball.
yeah,
Like historically, we talk a lot about the hockey.
Yeah.
They have been so strong in volleyball for so long. And and then they would beat those US teams all the time.
were you? I want to say this was 08, around there. Do you remember the Joel Schmuland, the guy that drew the big beard? So
No.
the Bears hosted nationals.
No, I don't remember that.
It rings a bell.
So it was probably about 15 years ago, and I somehow got into the national final. I think with a media pass. It was in the main gym, and I don't know if the Bears, they might have been undefeated. If they weren't, they lost a match or two all year, and it was one of those years. All right, they're hosting nationals and they're the best team in the country, so you're going to win it on the home court, like starting in September. Like that's the story. And I have never seen, like, there were spots in the main gym where I was like, I didn't know somebody could sit and or perch there and or hang off a basket. Like, it was just crazy. Then Schmuland, I remember the name. Like, it's easy to remember. He was an awesome player, and he grew like this big beard. Like, I think he grew a big beard all year. And there were like dozens of students who had like made fake beards or got costumes to look like him. And I was just like, that was a great watching a collegiate sport experience. I mean, it wasn't tens of thousands, but it would have been, I don't remember what the main gym held 2,000 to 3,000, and all cheering for the Bears and all like, okay, here's the realization of what we're supposed to do.
Right.
And people really into it with the beards and just, like I said, I don't know how they got that many. I'm sure it was against all regulations for how many people were supposed to be in there, but it was just like,
Fire
holy
marshal's
crap.
looking away.
Yeah.
I miss me.
Anyway, random story of the day.
I like that random story. That was great.
It's
Good
always
memories.
a cool vibe though when you get into those collegiate programs and
Yeah.
it's packed and people are cheering. Like it's a really cool time. Like
Golden
that
Bears
happened
games are awesome.
so many times at Nate. Like they'd host national championships for basketball or volleyball, and it was just like you'd walk down and man, this is a really cool atmosphere. Just wish more people could see it.
Yeah.
I was at the Bears volleyball Canada West final last year, and it was packed.
Yeah.
Sold out. Couldn't buy another ticket. It was just they had the football team was there to support, and they were making noise, and it was just an amazing. And I was like, "This is volleyball in Edmonton right now."
Yeah.
Like it's great, and like
So that was at Saville, which is
that was at Sal, and so it's like really well designed. Obviously, it's built for that.
Oh, it's great to watch. Yeah.
And I have to go catch some basketball games there, and that's where it's like, I want the attention drawn more to those, but I also don't want it to turn fully into what the U.S. is, where it is this.
Yep.
It's a machine, man.
Maybe a happy medium.
well,
There's
I
a
wouldn't-
medium
you wouldn't
somewhere,
care,
and
right?
but it's like we brought it up a little bit yesterday on the Hangout. Wanting to see more amateur sports get broadcast. What's going to happen with like professional sports though in this country moving forward? What's happening with the NHL deal in a couple of years when Rogers is done? Like in the national, like at that $500 million that they're going to spend this year, next year, and I think there's one more year. I don't think Rogers wants to spend that $500 million again.
No, and
TSN's not wanting to do that, and who's going to jump in to spend the money to want to?
the NHL teams, because that's what you see with Oilers Plus. That's exactly.
But
what,
the national rights.
the national rates, well, that's going to be an interesting one.
Like
I
we've
could-
seen TNT surpass Canada
Yep.
when it comes to national broadcast,
Their
You know what I
broadcast
could-
is excellent.
I could see like,
and that's our sport.
Yep.
Amazon Prime. I could see something like that picking it up, and that's your national broadcast.
What's the YouTube thing? YouTube TV? Do they have a thing now called YouTube
YouTube's
TV?
got something going
Yeah.
on, but like it's I don't know. The TV deals are an interesting one because it's all these NHL teams, and this is partly why they don't want to do it. Is well, Oilers Plus is a streaming service. You pay for it. Well, it just goes right to the Oilers.
Yep.
So they can do whatever they want over there, and it's great. But then it takes away from Sportsnet because a lot of people can just tune into this and they can get all Oilers content anytime they want and watch the Oilers play.
Yeah, the on-demand stuff obviously is getting very big. I still don't think we're at the point where televised games will be on Oilers Plus.
Now-
And obviously we're not at the point where radio games will be on Oilers Plus because we still have the rights for 2 more years.
Yeah.
but I
That's
still
6:30 chat.
think maybe I'm old fashioned. Maybe I'm the old man here. I still think when the national TV deal is up,
Yep.
that TSN, I guess Bell, will step up and say, you know what, we'll do it. We'll get it back. We'll spend the money because you own Saturday night and then the playoffs. I mean, and if you happen to have a Canadian team in the playoffs, or it's a Leafs Oilers Stanley Cup final, it's a bit of a gamble. You don't want to wind up with Florida Vegas, I guess. I don't even know how they did last year. I don't think it was overly highly watched.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But I just think that there's still that mystique to saying we carry the NHL. Now, I don't think was last year. Was it 12 years? This current
It was
deal?
a 12-year deal.
It's a 12-year deal.
Yep.
I don't think it's that long.
No.
Maybe it's 5. But I still think, quote unquote, traditional television will have it, and traditional television will maybe find a way to capitalize on these other platforms, or it's
Which is
shared,
fair.
like
Yeah.
the NFL
Yeah.
is doing
That's-
now,
Yeah.
sharing it a little bit. But I still think Bell will probably step up and have Wednesday night hockey and Hockey Night in Canada, and then you get the playoffs,
And not
that's
this
where
Bell.
it cashes in, right?
Not this Bell. He's going to save his money.
I would like it
I'm
if
gonna
Shawn
keep-
Bell
I'm gonna keep that
has
in
some
my
sort of
pocket.
broadcast rights.
Me too.
Thanks, guys.
What I'll say though is I would like to agree with you on Bell, and I generally would have. I do think the rights will be split, but it's Gary Bettman needs to make all that money. But coming from that company, every message that we saw, whether directly or indirectly, was they don't want to spend money on rights anymore.
Yeah.
That's not the game that they're in. They were very fine with just having the regional deals, that they still broadcasted a bunch of hockey games regionally when it comes to Leafs, Sens, Jets,
Habs.
and Habs. And they don't need to go into a spot where they're going to lose money anymore. And I think the accountant saw that they were making money or doing better, and oh, look, we're doing really well ratings-wise, numbers-wise, money-wise, and we don't have the rights. That's kind of nice. And that company very much listens to its accountants, based on just my experience
And
there.
its stakeholders and
Most companies
shareholders.
do.
So, and that's the one where, like, yeah, if I didn't work for that company on the outside looking in, I'd agree. And I hope that they would jump in, because I hope that the rights of the hockey, it is our sport, are spread across and done.
Yeah.
I think that also makes everyone have to do better. If TSN has the rights and Sportsnet still has the rights and Amazon Prime comes in and has the rights, well, you don't want to be the one that has the worst broadcast. You're going to try to have the better broadcast, and you're going
Yeah.
to pump into.
Yeah.
So that just encourages a competition between your competitors. And Sportsnet's had no competition for that, and
And that's why that
think it's-
broadcast to some people has gone stale.
Has-
and then you look
yes.
at the two in the States, and TNT is just crushing it. And you look at ESPN, you're like, ooh.
yeah.
How did they divide it up, Tom? Did they do days of the week? I don't even know.
Yeah, each one has a day of the week.
Wednesday
I think
Night Hockey is
Wednesday's
ESPN.
TNT. Yeah, and then
Isn't it?
TNT has what, Saturdays, and then every year they rotate the Stanley Cup final.
Okay, question for you. I should know this, but I don't. Does ESPN or TNT ever pick up a Sportsnet broadcast? Like, when the CFL's on in the States.
Yeah.
It's
They
TSN.
just- they flip the
and
switch.
a lot of the American games, it's like if Sportsnet
Yeah.
says, we got Minnesota and St. Louis on
You get the
Thursday,
regional.
it's that regional.
I think
so.
they do their own. I think it's all original.
Yeah, they don't.
So they would never show, like,
No.
Edmonton, Winnipeg, late slot on Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah,
It would
you're not
just
getting
be
Jack and
Harder
Louis
Ryan
Olsen on ESPN or whatever it is.
No, that doesn't
Okay.
happen. What does happen though is like NHL Network will patch into a game or have a game of the week, and they'll pick one up.
Well,
And
they
that's,
just, but they always, yeah.
but that's a specialty channel down there. Yeah.
Which we can't get here.
No, that's true. Yeah, because I do.
Canada
I do
does
work
not
for
have
them, and
NHL
people are
Network.
like, what
I
is
know,
that?
that's
I'm like,
crazy.
It's
It's
weird
like-
too, you know.
yeah.
The NHL Network, what's that? That's good.
Sad, isn't it?
we had it for a while, though.
It was
didn't we?
Yeah.
TSN was out of based out of Jay Onright.
Right, because
was the
Jay
host.
would go, Jay
Yeah.
would go and do stuff.
Yeah.
And then TSN was getting out of that game, and
Yep.
Sportsnet
Well,
didn't really pick it up.
I think Jay
Nope.
ruined it.
But now they brought in Jackie's show, NHL. Well, yeah, you can tell him that you're friends with him. But I'll say one thing about the
like that
regional
show.
thing.
It's all Jay's fault.
One thing about the regional thing, Oilers Plus, because we brought it up, is the OEGs testing the waters to see if they're capable, and then what the appetite is like if the regional rights should go and they take them internally. But they're finding out how expensive a broadcast is, night in, night out.
Yes. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's
You have to
the
have-
truck, the crew.
Well, yeah, and for more TV than radio.
Yeah.
But
Way
like,
more for TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what Oilers Plus is, them testing the waters to see if
Is that a
they-
test for the Oilers? Is that a test
Yeah.
for the Oilers and the NHL?
I'd say a bit of both.
Yeah, a bit of both. Because I can't think of any other teams that might have a streaming service or
That you pay
added
for.
value. I don't know if the Leafs have that.
Oh,
Or the
they have.
Habs.
Oh, I think the channel. They used to have a channel.
They used to have Leafs TV,
I don't know if
yeah,
that
but I
TV's
don't
still
know if
going.
they have like
I think
a,
that might have went off the air actually recently.
subscriber based thing. So
Yeah, that's a good question.
yeah.
I've never Googled Leafs Plus.
I think the Oilers are one of the first.
Actually, I found there was all these leaf blowers that were like the higher end,
Steel?
the plus. Yeah.
Those are good, well made, manufactured, and engineered.
I'm so annoyed by all these pluses. We're getting Rona Plus.
Oh, really?
We're not gonna have Lowe's in the city anymore. They're all
sounded
going to
way more
Rona.
excited than I
Yeah,
actually
you're
am.
really excited.
Really
But
not.
it's going to be called Rona Plus. Like, why is it plus? Just go back to being called Rona. Everything has to be a plus.
You got to draw
It's
people
better
in.
now.
Yeah, it makes it
Yeah,
sound,
it's
makes
plus.
it sound
It's
like
better.
there's more.
Ooh,
Yeah.
plus. Rona plus.
Year 2 of the Oil Stream Pre and Post. There'll be the Oilers Stream Pre and Post Plus. EST Plus next year.
Oh
Yeah.
boy,
That's a
Bring
good
it on.
idea.
Hello
Yeah.
Hockey
It's like
Plus.
putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Just plus it up.
Everything you do over, it's gonna just add the plus.
It's the exact same
Watch-
thing.
That's what
just
you do.
plus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus.
Watch Tom, Sean, and Matt drink beers and really unwind and uncork on the team for the extra 10 minutes for the $5 a
You don't
month.
get anything extra. You just add the plus.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's the same.
No extra.
no extra.
change
We
the
just
table.
start
Added
adding with
value.
the.
You change the table. That's your plus.
Yeah.
We'll move
Oh,
the table
boy.
from this like the one way, and we'll just have it coming more the other way.
This is
And
brilliant.
that's all it has to be.
Yeah. Plus.
Or maybe
EST
we'll just
plus.
move the chairs
Get all
just
those
slightly,
Oilers fans in Finland tuning
and it'll
in.
be plus. And then the year after, we'll switch it back and we'll do minus. We'll be the trendsetters.
Well, I mean, I could have
plus,
called my
plus.
show minus,
Oh,
or half, maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
yeah.
I do. I one thing I will say, and I've not spent a lot of time on Oilers Plus. but I was, as a member of the media, granted access to it.
Thank you, OEG.
Oh, I have a story on that.
They've put all those oil change episodes on there.
Yeah.
I'm like, good for them. Like, it's like, here's past content
Yeah.
of when we were telling you the team was going to be good. No, now this time it's going to be good. Because then they do
Memories.
3 seasons of that.
3 or 4.
And then it was like, the
Yeah.
oil's not actually changing.
Yeah.
So,
Poor Mike
good for
Bealey
them, they're
and
all on
Bryce
there.
and those guys, Sergio Oliveras, man, they worked hard on that damn thing. And by year
Hey, give
3,
people what they
well, good
wanted
for
at
them.
the
Their
time.
work is on there.
Yeah. we did 2
I think I made
documentaries
a couple
on
appearances on that. Oil Plus?
probably. Yeah, because it was the first year.
Oil
was-
Plus? No.
Oil
Was it
change.
Oil change.
Oil,
was,
Oilers Plus is the new thing.
Oh, yeah,
You
sorry,
watch
yeah.
it.
Oilers
It's oil
Plus.
change on Oilers
Oil-
Plus.
yeah,
Plus.
yeah.
Everyone at
Oil
1260 in the media got an account for Oilers Plus except me and Dave Jameson. What?
Seriously?
I don't know why us.
Well,
But we never got the email with here's your account login. Everyone else did. So
wow.
that was wonderful.
Even Lieutenant Eric?
yes. What Lieutenant Eric did
know
right
why I
away was he
picked him.
deleted it actually because he didn't care.
I don't need this spam.
Yeah, me and Dave me, whatever. Dave Jameson. Yeah. Nothing
Posted
for Dave
the
Jameson.
Dave should have got one.
10 o'clock show, yeah.
So
Iwanyk, I think you could have piggybacked off Dustin's account.
I
no,
gave you
he'll
guys
never
mine,
do that because
didn't
I years ago, no, he wouldn't let me because years and years ago I bought. I'm a Big Brother fan, and so was he, and I bought the summer pass to watch all the streams. And I'm like newer into radio and stuff. I don't have all the money in the world. He says, "Can I have the access?" I was like, "No, like pay me, like give me half the money, and you could have." access. And he didn't like it. So he didn't.
That
No,
grudge
never
still
let you-
lives.
Yeah, I know. So if I went to like, "Hey, give me the login," he'd be like, "No." So
We should ask him.
Yeah. Get the login.
everyone's using my TELUS now in this building. So
It's great. We use it when we
Yeah,
watch
it
the
was
game,
really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be using it tonight.
Yeah. It was nice until you kicked us out.
when did I kick
Because I
you?
think
Yeah,
you
you
actually
logged
went
in
on,
one
yeah,
day.
you logged in and booted us out.
We had to go on to the Sportsnet app.
Yeah. Which was crap.
When was this?
It was a little bit behind. I don't know, 2 weeks ago.
I wasn't on it.
Somebody was.
Somebody
I don't
did.
go on my
We
TELUS.
got
I'm the only one that has
kicked off.
access. I don't go on my TELUS
Well,
ever.
somebody kicked us right out of
I
there.
go on my parents' Shaw one actually, like Rogers. And so they have more channels than I do, so I go on that one. No, I think maybe the internet just crapped out.
That could be. It
That's
does
all that
happen
would have
our
happened.
Wi-Fi.
So no, because I've tried it here. Because actually, you could do it because I watch it in my office and while it's on in this main office, you could
Right.
be on both. You could watch it
Yeah,
on
well,
multiple.
somebody
So-
or something kicked us out.
Yeah.
And we
Well.
just started chirping you.
We assumed you started watching Big Brother or something.
Yeah.
No, it's off right now. We
Oh,
have to
okay.
wait. Big Brother Canada starts in a couple months.
Did you watch the season Chelsea was on?
Yes, I did.
How'd she do?
She was okay. She made a fatal flaw. It was the thing I always want to remember with Chelsea was she started becoming the target. The guys started looking at her and be like, we should maybe vote her out. And one of the worst things you can do at that point, few weeks in the season, is go, let's start an all-girls alliance. When you go all the girls, I'm like, let's start an all-girls alliance. Because all the girls then go tell all the guys. And the guys are like, oh, well, definitely we're going to get rid of you. And that's what she did. So
Oh, wow.
that was
Okay.
her fatal flaw that at the very end, like she went, let's do an all-girls alliance. And it was too late for that. You only could bring that up in like the first week.
Okay, I'll have to ask her about that. I
So-
I don't like those types of shows. So
I love that
It's
show.
funny because she's great, but I just don't care that you did that. Well, I mean, I care from the fact that she did
Okay.
something. I care that she did something interesting.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
that she's
Also,
cool.
I don't care.
But it's like I'm not interested in it. That's what I meant. I'm not completely
like-
apathetic, Tom. Some things I am completely apathetic.
Oh, I
about.
know.
Yeah.
So it's like a
I'm
good
aware.
for you, but don't talk about this anymore because I don't want to hear more about it.
Well, we've never really had time to dive into it, and I don't know if she needs to keep reliving because
you
for a
the-
while everybody was asking her about.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Are you the
well,
guy
we had another
that-
guy that worked with us that was on,
Mark.
and I once with
Yeah.
Mark, I spent time just like asking him, pestering him with questions.
Yeah. My buddy won our buddy Tyler Smith won Amazing Race Canada.
Yeah, I got headhunted recently to do Amazing
Yeah, you
Race
did.
Canada.
Are you gonna do it?
No, can't do
Oh.
it this year. I'm gonna try it next year maybe.
Yeah.
Who's your
cool.
partner?
Belzy would be great.
Well, it
I
was
said
going
it
to be
should
my
be me.
wife, but obviously my daughter's really young, so you need to commit to being away for 35 days. No phone,
Yeah.
no way of contacting anybody because obviously they want to keep everything in house and they don't want you knowing.
Yep.
Wow.
So
So did you pick your partner?
you'd have to pick my partner. Yeah.
So who's the contenders? Who'd be big board if Shawn Belle had to go right now? Is Tom on that?
I don't
He'd
think
be,
I
on, he'd be on a short list.
Nice.
Because
Right. That one I would do. That one's awesome.
I'm just trying to
Traveling
think,
and
like,
stuff. That's cool.
his looks could help.
And activities.
His looks would make him faster.
I think
Yeah,
it's
he's got great
it's-
sprinting legs.
You need
Yeah.
to get that
For small
cab or
distance.
something. Somebody's stopping for Tommy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
That's a good point. Consider it.
Yeah.
he is Michelin certified for tires, so
Oh,
he's
there it
kind of
is.
handy.
Perfect. Nice.
Thank
Hey,
you.
you put
Yeah,
yourself
you're really, you
nitrogen
just
in yourself.
put yourself in the top 3, man.
Oh, I was out of the top 3. Damn.
You were on a short
You
list.
were in the top 5.
Well, that's good. Okay, I respect that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, shake and bake.
Okay, so you get to pick your partner. If
Yes.
you say I want to go on Amazing Race, they will actually let you pick anybody you
gotta-
want.
Anybody you want. Then you have to do a 3-minute video. So I had the interview. I talked to the recruiter on the phone, told my story because they like, well, we kind of know it, but can you tell us more? So we did that. And they're like, okay, well, can you please submit this with your partner? We just want to make sure it's a good fit. Yeah, sure.
Would a gauger fall into this?
Oh, that would be good.
No. And the reason being is because me and Gager would probably just saddle up at the bar at every turn. Oh, we got a little bit of time. Let's go to the bar.
Wet our whistles.
Does
We're
Amazing
not
Race?
last place, are we? I don't know. Let's go to the
doesn't
bar.
matter.
Okay.
Let's have another one.
No, forgive my ignorance. So I don't watch any of these shows because they really don't interest me. I would sooner just learn about it like this than watch them. Does the Amazing, because Big Brother, Survivor, all these, their shtick is they eliminate people along the way.
Yes.
Right? So one person in Survivor lasts one episode, right? Then they're done. Does Amazing Race eliminate people, or
Yeah,
does somebody
same
just
thing.
finish last in the end?
If you finish last, you get eliminated.
Each show.
Each show,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So if you finish last in this show, you're the one that's eliminated.
So it might
the
not be
next-
35 days. Then.
It might not
It's you
be.
and Gager. Could be 3 hours.
Could be, yeah, it could be 3
Sean,
hours.
why are you texting me again?
Yeah.
I'm out.
It was a good run. How'd the race go? I don't know. We never left the bar. Oh, okay.
If you had to pick one past teammate,
Past teammate.
any past teammate, is there one that you'd sit there and be like, that one would be? Because now this is only in Canada too,
Right.
right? Like this is
This is
Amazing
only
Race Canada.
yeah. This is only a Canadian
Yeah.
one. A past teammate, Josh Georges would have been a really good one.
He's a character.
He's ultra smart,
Yeah.
super competitive. He would have been good. Alex Henry would be another guy.
Yeah.
Outdoorsman. Actually, Chad Anderson, who I played with in Hamilton, he is the ultimate outdoorsman. He knows his way around literally everything, and he's ultra smart. Chad Anderson. That would be my
Wow.
past
Make that
team.
call?
Yeah.
Make that call. Get
I'd
in
have to
there.
pull him out of the bush in Alaska. But man, would he be good.
Okay, but like this is he good at getting cabs?
Is that the whole show?
And I don't know. I haven't watched it.
You want to know something? That is
your
actually one
form?
show I haven't really watched much. I just think like you have to get around, so you need to drive at some
You gotta
point.
know how
and
to
if you
work
don't have
an
a phone, you
airport.
can't do Uber.
Yeah.
So you need to
But
get
you
a
need
cab.
to understand a map too.
Yeah.
Maps are easy.
Absolutely.
Well, maps are easy, but sometimes if you have the wrong person, they don't know
that's
which
fair.
way is up.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? Like
They don't see the N on it
exactly.
and all that.
Yeah, there's those little details that a lot of
SEW.
people miss. Andy missed any of those details.
Are you missing those details?
No.
Okay, see, so you've got that covered.
I got that covered. Those details are
So you need someone like getting the cab. I think that's where Tommy shines.
yeah.
I got you.
Make your sales pitch, Tommy.
Hey, I'm Tom Gazzola,
I'm gonna
broadcaster
get
on Edmonton
cabs.
Sports Talk. I'll be your cab guy. I'm very good with orientating myself north, south, east, west. I'm very.
Where's north?
Where's north?
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, point north.
Right
north.
now, it would be where our
I think I know.
back this way.
Yeah, it'd be this way. Isn't
Yeah.
it this way?
It's that
yeah,
way.
it's back this way.
It's that way.
Yeah, that's right.
That's north.
I can
Look
get
where my
around the
finger's
city.
pointing.
Oh yeah, he's got it now.
That's
Yeah,
northwest.
it's north.
Anyway, I'd be a great teammate.
Dusty's terrible.
I'm
at
a
that,
glue
by the way.
guy, not an EST glue guy. There's only one. There's Jay Milne, but I think we'd do good. Yeah,
That's a that wasn't a good pitch.
It was tough.
That
I'm on
really
the spot.
wasn't
People
like.
are watching
still in
this.
Hey,
consideration.
Sean, you get this
Yeah.
chance to go on Amazing Race Canada first time. I'm gonna help you. Like you didn't sell it to him that he's gonna have like the best 35 days.
I worry a lot in a good way, so I would make sure. Hey, this has to be our last beer. We need to go. We need to hop on this plane. I'm good like that. I wouldn't say, hey, one more.
He has one skill that we've learned today.
Oh.
He can eye tires and see if they're flat or not.
No,
Pretty
that was
well.
my sensor in my vehicle telling me that they were
Come
low.
on, we're
I
trying
had
to have,
no
like,
idea.
you could have known if the taxi cab is good or not. You could have eyeballed that taxi and went like, no, not
Oh,
this
that's-
one.
Like, no, this one's going to be a little bit slower because
there's
that
a
right
chance
back
of that.
tire.
That's the
Yeah.
one I
Yeah.
want. That was your skill.
Do people stop to drink a lot on Amazing Race?
I don't think
it
no
happens
idea.
all the
would.
time.
No idea.
Okay.
I don't think a
But
single
I
one
think
would.
my self-engager would.
Yeah.
Because that's
Right.
what would happen.
It would be between, I think, shows like filmings.
Yeah.
Okay.
They would just get obliterated and be there the
They-
next day.
They would take your phone away entirely,
100%.
so they'd only tell you if there was an emergency or something that.
You can apparently you can reach out via like email. They might do that, but you can't like couldn't FaceTime my daughter.
Right.
Couldn't talk to my wife. Like that kind of stuff. So it's like, you're still at a stage like for her, she's still at a stage where it's like, okay, if you don't see like I was just away in Vancouver for 5 days. And I was like every time you get on the phone, she was like hugging the phone because she's like, I miss daddy. You're like, okay, maybe I won't go.
Right.
For 35 days.
Yeah.
And then once that 35 days was over, you also wouldn't be allowed to talk about the show.
Correct.
You could
Until
maybe-
it airs.
You could maybe talk
Until
about
it
being on
airs,
it, but
yeah.
you couldn't talk
Yeah.
about results or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think you
obviously,
have to sign. Smitty, you had to sign an NDA, right?
Yeah, because Smitty came and visited us in Calgary. I was at a hockey school, and he was with us all week. We're like, Smitty, what happens tonight on the show? He goes, boys, you're going to have to watch it. We're like, come on, Smitty. In this tree of trust here, nobody's going to say anything. He's like, I can't say anything, guys.
Yeah,
Like,
NDA.
seriously. And then they won.
They probably send somebody out and follow you.
Maybe.
Don't say anything.
One of the guys on your team was paid. He was trying to see if he'd slip.
Yep.
Maybe.
There was they hired a plan. They
Maybe.
hire people to do that.
They have to.
In the,
That's guaranteed.
in
They
the-
want to know. And the moment he
camp
went,
coaches?
boys, let me tell you, and then he says something, boom,
Boom.
alarms go
That's the
off.
mold.
It's he screwed.
Yep.
They don't even air the end because he won.
Yep.
compromised. He was very good. He was good about the NDA. We didn't get any, couldn't crack him, but he won. Him and Kat. Well
Yeah.
done. Yep.
Yeah, they did.
That's cool.
That's who I called. I was like, saw this thing come through on my phone. I'm like, huh. Look at my wife. I'm like, this happened. She starts laughing. Call Smitty. So, tell me about your experience. He's like, oh man, it was so good. It was wicked. I'm like, he's like, you should really do it. It's like,
gotta-
the only thing you need to know though. And then I was like, oh, okay. And that's when he brought up the phone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That'd be fun though. When
This
I could
isn't
bring
one
Big
where
Brother.
you're out in the wilderness or doing anything.
no,
No, this is
It's-
cities.
So
yeah,
it's
you basically go to different
challenges.
cities and you have challenges throughout
Right.
throughout the city. You know, I think they came here, right? At one point,
Yeah.
they actually had to do like a puzzle and they had to go up and down the
There's like checkpoint.
funicular. It was working at the time. That's great.
super slow. So then it was
It's a
at one
massive
point.
scavenger hunt in almost
That's exactly
in a
what it
sense.
is.
Oh,
But
okay.
across
Yeah.
Canada,
Okay.
you got to go. You do like your checkpoints and do things, except you're not really getting a lot. Like you're not
Yeah.
having to find like a little bell under something or type thing. You got to go to the spot and do a
It's not
puzzle
stuff
as
that's
you
going to
said.
take hours to find some little obscure thing.
No.
No.
Nobody could take you hours to do a puzzle if you're terrible
Yeah.
at puzzles.
Oh, true. That's true.
Are you
Yeah,
good at
because-
puzzles, Tommy?
Kind of actually. I'm good at recognizing patterns.
There you go. You see, that's
That's
a
important.
case. That's
Where was
important.
that in your cell?
Yeah.
I didn't think of it. Put me on the spot.
And what you think, when you're in the Amazing Race Canada, you're never going to be put on the spot?
You know
That
what?
you get a lot of time to figure
I'm
things.
freaking sweet. It'll be a fun time. Let's go.
Can you last
Fill in
30,
the details later.
Can you last 35 days without your phone?
Absolutely. I get so annoyed. I get annoyed looking at Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat,
The dating
TikTok, dating app. Yeah, I got rid of those. But
There was some hesitation there.
Could you be away from the dating apps
Yeah.
for 35 days?
I would be happy to not have to deal with this for 35 days. Outside of updates, how my family's doing and friends, I don't care.
Well, that'd be the hardest part, just not staying in touch with people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is a bad thing. As amazing as it is, it's become a really bad thing and a profitable thing too.
Yes.
It's a bitter.
I could do
it's a
without the 30,
double-edged
like
sword.
my phone for 35 days,
Yeah.
but I kind of like my daughter and I kind of like my wife, so
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk to them. So I was like, you know what? Maybe next year when she's 3, we'll get back into this conversation.
Well, that's cool. They reached out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Reid, would you even consider doing a reality show even though you don't
Nope.
like them?
Nope.
Not even a little thought.
No. Why?
To win money.
Do you like
For
money?
I guess there could be a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Okay, I called you and I said, I'm starting Survivor Canada. I want to send you onto an island in Fiji with 19 other people, and the ultimate survivor wins $500,000.
And you just get jacked and tanned for 2 months getting ready for your run up.
Which, as you know, is impossible.
Would you consider
because you
that?
already are.
I don't know. I guess I would think about it. But I don't know. What would I do?
Well,
I
try
would
to win
I
that
would just want- but I
$500,000.
probably wouldn't care that much. That would be the problem, because like it would be so artificial, and you have to
Right.
be mean at some point or pick on people.
Yeah, you're
We
not
don't
like
have to.
So-
Not an
but
Amazing
you,
Race, you don't.
but
Kind of you do, actually. That's a lie.
you don't have to. It's just you then are likely going to be backstabbed yourself.
Yeah.
Right, or they'll just
Yeah.
be like, this guy doesn't seem like he
They'll
wants
vote
to be
you out
here,
quick.
so
Yeah.
we'll just vote him off.
Yeah.
And you'll be too
sorry,
kind,
Bobby.
like, yeah, please vote me off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be too, because I'd be like, okay, where do I sleep? Do I get to sleep inside or outside?
No, it's outside in Survivor.
Yeah, see, I don't want to do that. Like food. I mean,
Okay, Big
I'm-
Brother, it's inside. You're with 15 other people.
Yeah, but I live by myself
You get all the
right now.
food.
I'm not going into a house, even if it's for a few days.
Yeah.
I'm not sleeping in a house with 15 other people. That's
Yeah, they got to
creepy.
share beds early, too.
Yeah, sharing a bathroom. I'd always be worried about germs and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm fine with my space.
I would do Big Brother.
I know you love
See,
Big Brother.
Here's the thing about Big Brother. I would either be the first one out, because first week they'd kick me out, or I'd be able to get to jury, which is just past the halfway point. I don't think I don't think I get knocked out in the third or fourth week. I'm not a target. I could get my way through that socially, but I could easily be the first one out. If I get past that first week, I'm getting to jury. Guaranteed.
Do they have this like at the start of the
Guaranteed.
first show? Do they have everybody like sit on couches and watch a TV? Right? Like, they do something like that? Everyone has
Well,
to
they all
gather
sit
together.
down and they introduce themselves and they say, "Hi,
Now-
I'm blank." And
What would do you in this scenario is you would be looking at everybody like this.
Yeah, no,
with
that's
eyes like this because you're scheming.
You're like, target,
and you're like,
target,
dude, this is what's
target.
gonna. You would be predicting 17 moves ahead, and if
Yes.
anyone caught a glimpse of you for one
100%.
split second, you were toast. If they don't look at you, you're the winner. That's because
Fine,
you're
see,
just
It would
like,
be that
I would get to
face
jury.
right there,
I would
too,
get to jury,
yeah.
right?
But
Like-
it's also in that first week, like the big guys don't get touched. You know, they just look for. No one wants to cause waves in the first week. They want to easy out.
Yeah.
And I look like the easy out. I get that.
they see
But
your
so-
face.
Yeah,
and you're scheming the way you
100%.
do.
But
You're out.
I
If
think
they
I
don't
could-
see it,
I think I
you're
could put
going
on a
all the
face.
way.
I think I could put on a face for that. I think.
I know you're good.
I think.
He's meticulous.
But no, like that's where like I'm not. They're not catching on to me in like the third or fourth week.
No.
I'm good.
No, yeah.
I think I'm
Then
making
you're
enough
cruising.
friends throughout that time. That
But
they're not
everybody's
attacking me.
scheming now, right?
Yeah.
Because
We're all
I
scheming.
did watch the first season of Survivor.
Great.
And it
season.
was
like
new,
23
right? Like,
years,
nobody
24
knew how
years
it
ago.
was
Yeah.
going to work, and
Yeah.
they probably didn't know that there'd be alliances and the backstabbing and all,
Immunity
all the
idols
stuff that it
and all
was
that
like.
crap.
But I mean, now everybody's going in with a plan, and I'm going to do this and do this. And I remember, wasn't there a guy named Boston Rob that
Yeah,
was famous?
Boston Rob.
See, I do know a little bit.
yeah. And
That's
Amber.
all. You know, they all had their.
I like Boston
Married with
Rob.
their family now.
Yeah.
Was Jimmy Johnson on Survivor?
What?
Wasn't there a football
Yes.
They
coach?
had like a celebrity version, didn't they?
No, that was Big Brother.
Oh, okay.
Actual Survivor.
There was some
think
former-
Jimmy Johnson. There was a former coach. I think you're right on Jimmy
And
Johnson.
was he out right away? Because everybody knew it was Jimmy Johnson.
I gotta find this.
I'm going to read this text
television career.
while he finds it. Beef Nips. Thank you, Beef Nips. This is hilarious, though. Says, Tommy, how would you do on the fear competitions? Food, heights, etc. Amazing Race is the one reality show I would love to be on. That's from Beef Nips. The fear ones, I'd have to let Belsey do.
I'm not jumping out of a plane.
You both sometimes have to do them.
I'm not eating seafood.
Oh, I crushed.
Hold
the
up.
seafood.
You're worried about seafood?
Yeah.
Like not worried about like worms or something. Like it's as low as if you put a piece of tuna in front of me,
Not eating it.
don't take him.
No.
Do not take
No,
him.
you are out of the running.
Damn it. If he's not going to eat just normal food
I need
right off the
somebody
bat.
that's going to be willing to jump out of a plane. Because I'm not doing it.
But
I'll
would you
do
s-
it.
So if you commit
Kind
to
of.
this
Yeah, I'll
show,
do
though,
it.
you might have to skydive or parachute. Without
100%.
knowing, they don't tell you ahead of
100%.
time.
Yeah.
Or do something.
You don't know your
freak
challenge.
out, but I
Semi
would do it.
dangerous.
But
okay.
I'm not doing that. That I'm
Bones,
out.
Bones says, Maddie, you'd become house commissioner. he'd be the mastermind.
No, I wouldn't. But well, I'd try to be the mastermind to a degree. I wouldn't be like I wouldn't want to be a
the
commissioner or
puppet
anything.
master.
I wouldn't want to. I'd have to bake my tongue on a lot of things.
You just
That's where I'll
got
get
to
in
lay in
trouble.
the weeds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't start off too strong. You come in late.
Yeah.
And I think I could win some challenges. I do have the info on Jimmy Johnson.
All right, let us know.
He is a big Survivor fan. He wanted to appear on Survivor Gabon, which was the 17th edition, but failed or had to withdraw due to failing a physical. He was on the 21st edition in late 2010s. He was the oldest contestant of his tribe, made up of entirely people aged 40 and older. So there was like a whole bunch of old people. He was voted out 8-1 on day 8, becoming the third person voted out of the game, finishing 18th overall. After he left the game, he said to his tribe, "One of you win $1 million, okay?"
That's a great quote. I'm
Really
inspired.
Good. Very
Yeah,
encouraging.
that's like classic coach. Like, hey, you guys screwed me over,
Yeah.
but
My
I
sacrifice
want
is for
someone
you.
on this team to still win.
Yeah.
So
Now
go
I can just
get it.
imagine his speeches to Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and stuff. We got a Super Bowl.
Go complete a pass.
Let's do this.
Okay. Emmett Smith, run really fast and hard. Okay.
He also said, "I had fun, but I was miserable the whole time. I still love the game. It's been a great adventure, but this is the most stressful time I've ever gone through in my life. And that includes Super Bowls and collegiate national championships."
I could see that.
So-
Yeah,
like,
I could see that
I don't
too.
think
Yeah.
I'd
You gotta
have
be your
any
element,
fun at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just be like, someone vote me off.
Because like you're coaching, you're comfortable doing that. You
Yeah.
know exactly what's going to happen, right? Like you can control all the different variables. You get into this, you have no idea.
I couldn't do Survivor.
I'd love to do like a hosted travel show, like Expedition Unknown, like that Don Wildman. Have you guys watched on like History Channel, Travel Channel?
So you just want to be paid to go travel.
Yeah, but you uncover like these stories and myths and stuff like. Oh, it's amazing.
I like how you call them out right away for that stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
we're talking about
And
contestants.
ultimately, yes, Matthew.
But now he's going into like, I'm looking for this cushy TV thing.
yeah. I'd like to be the host on this. Take me away.
Yeah.
Don Wildman, if you're listening and you're ready to retire, I'm here to take over.
See, and that's where I get in trouble on Big Brother. So I'm gonna make a comment, I'll say something back, and damn it, now I have the target.
Your target.
On me.
Yeah, out of the weeds. Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Good stuff.
Do we need to do any resets or anything like that?
We'll get into whatever you're going to get into. Let's get into that. It's
yeah.
Movers and Shakers, brought to you by Marco and Mike Realty. Realty One Group Insider. If you're looking to buy or sell your home as we start this calendar year, be sure to give Marco and Mike a try. MarcoandMike.com for more information on that dynamic duo and see whether the best duo for the job.
I had a text, and I think it was from Raider Jesse. Or someone, it was for Belsey, but I think I lost it. It had to do with Cutter Gauthier stuff.
Oh,
Just quickly before we get that, Titans have fired head coach Mike Vrabel after 6 seasons. This is
wow.
according to ESPN's
Oh, wow.
Adam Schefter.
I
So,
found it.
boom.
It's from Hontario Mums. So Vrabel out?
Vrabel out.
Dang. Okay, Hontario Mums says,
Oh, quickly. New England for Mike Vrabel?
Well, that'd be
If Bill
something.
Belichick
yeah.
goes, Mike
I
Vrabel goes
like
to
that.
New England?
Yeah.
good point.
Just hit me.
What are Belsey's thoughts on the U.S. ND players? Are we at the point that the U.S. ND players are becoming like Russian players? You draft and don't know if they will come. They want the bag of money ASAP, play where they want, won't play in Canada, now not even play in certain U.S. cities. There is a massive risk spending a first on them. Adam Fox, Johnny Hockey, Matthew Tkachuk, Zegras, this Cutter kid, they all put themselves above the team, which I can understand in part, but at least wait until you do something or win something or warrant this clout they are demanding from Hontario Mums. That was a good question.
Yeah, it was a good question. I would say that very few of them, Tkachuk played in Calgary. So you can't really include him in that conversation.
And he played major junior. He wasn't
he
the
played major
US.
junior. Yeah, it is interesting because obviously there's, as a U.S. college player, you have a different entry-level contract. So when you sign it, I believe it's actually only 2 years as opposed to 3 years. If you don't, you get to essentially become a free agent, so you get to pick where you play. Now, if you were to flip that and you were to put that as part of like the CHL, or that was every single contract, would you get more Canadian kids doing the same thing? And the answer is probably yes, because there's this whole movement of players, and we talked about this on Hello Hockey, where it's like, okay, well, the best way I can describe this is here in Alberta, there's a lot of Alberta kids that don't want to go to programs outside of Spruce Grove, Sherwood Park, Blackfalds, Brooks, Okotoks. So they don't want to go to Drayton Valley. They don't want to go to Bonnyville. They don't want to go to Whitecourt. They don't want to go to GP, Fort Mac, Drumheller, Canmore, Lloyd, Olds. And you ask yourself, okay, why? Well, I want to be comfortable. I want to be in the big city or close to a big city, or I want to be on the top team and I don't want to have to get into a spot where I have to build my way up or potentially risk being on a bad team, right? So you see that here. So now you get to this level, and the only difference is that it's more exposed, right? Like it's on TV and more people are talking about it. So, when Adam Fox wanting to go to New York, I mean, it is what it is because lots of people do that. Now, this particular situation with Gauthier is a little bit different because the more that you look at it, there's more factors that are starting to unravel. And one was the first is like he was a Pittsburgh fan or something like that, right? So that's a massive rivalry, and whether that's right or wrong, it's still a factor. It's something that this kid clearly cares about. Two, he's got a player that's his mentor as Jimmy Hayes, and Hayes did not have a good time because of torts, and we've talked about once again, you either love torts or you hate torts. There's nothing in between.
Yeah. Torch, by the way, says he couldn't tell Cutter Gauthier from a hole in the wall, by the way. That was his quote yesterday.
Which is
just, you don't say that about a kid.
Yeah.
John Tortorella.
That's torts. So you've got those two factors, right? And then on the flip side, you haven't even given them an opportunity to talk about what they want to do and how they're going to implement you into this. Was there something that happened prior to Briere getting there? Like there's a lot of factors that we're kind of like all skimming over for him to come to this decision, because it's not like he came right out in the draft and said, there's no chance I'm getting drafted. If I get drafted by Philadelphia, that I'm going there. So there's got to be something behind the scenes that has got this in his brain essentially to say, this isn't happening. And so before I make a judgment on the kid, I kind of want to know some of the other stuff behind the scenes. Or is it just a fat out, no, I'm not playing for Tortorella because this guy told me don't play for Tortorella and it's going to suck? Or did he think he was going to play there this year? And
no, because he hasn't even communicated with them for like a year.
Well, then there you go.
But didn't, like, Briere said that he was told that he wants to play in Philly. He's okay playing in Philly. So what changed in that?
That's the thing that we got to find out.
Yeah, because
maybe he thought he was going to be playing and then they didn't play him and he then just doesn't want to talk to them anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, because he was a 22 pick, right? He was picked in 22.
Yes.
That was his draft year, right? So
this is too bizarre. Like, this is not Eric Lindros coming right out and being like, I'm not playing for Quebec. I don't care what you do.
Right.
I'm not playing here. So this one's like a little bit of a different situation. Like it's very, I don't know, it's very odd.
Kevin Hayes plays for Philly.
Used to.
Pardon me, yeah. He's in
And he
St.
did not,
Louis
he
now,
did
right?
not get along with Torts.
Yeah.
But that's this kid's mentor. So
Interesting.
it didn't really answer the question. But
No, but-
it was, I feel like there's
Are
too
we
many
going to see
things.
more of this, basically, is what Huntario Mums is saying?
100% you'll see more of it.
Okay.
And happen, every 2-3 years, in my opinion, like just because of the fact of, well, if I don't sign with this team because they're not on the rise, right? Well, here we are. John Marino did the same thing to the Oilers.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
They
Fox, you
signed him.
mentioned Fox,
Yeah.
who I think
Yep.
was a second rounder, not a first rounder, but
Dustin
still
Schultz.
didn't.
Schultz did it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he came here.
Came to Canada.
Came
oddly
here,
enough,
but
didn't want to go to
it's-
Anaheim.
Yeah.
And that was never fully
But that's because
disclosed, was
Anaheim
it?
at that point was a bad
But they had a
hockey
lot
team,
of
right?
defense at that time. They had a
Right.
pretty stacked blue line.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
They were good,
Yeah, they
but-
were good. But they're,
But he didn't see a spot to play.
yeah.
Riley
he wanted
Nash
to
did
play
it to
early.
the Oilers.
Riley Nash did it. But the Oilers were in the decade of darkness at the time, so nobody was coming here.
That's an interesting question. I mean, that's.
That's a hard question to answer.
I guess we got to see what happens. I kind of hate, to some extent. Well, let's say all kids from a nation are too spoiled to go somewhere. I don't know if, but you're right. There have been, I guess,
There's
a
been
few
lots
American
of instances
players
that's
who
happened.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really interesting discussion point. It'd be cool to talk to that texture and flesh out more of their ideas, because to me the Russian situation is not a direct comparison to maybe what some of the American
Yeah, there's
players
some
are
political
doing.
issues
Yeah,
there.
like
You know,
the
and other
Russian
things with-
Federation
yeah.
doesn't want their young players leaving Russia too early to go to North America. They want their young players
Yeah.
to stay there so that they could potentially keep them there and allow them to play in the KHL.
Right.
So that's a different factor than potentially this.
But Adam Fox saying,
yeah.
like, were the Rangers the only team he wanted to go to?
VC did the same thing. He wanted to only go to the Rangers.
Right.
I don't know if that was the case for Fox because he was.
Oh no, he was. Was he in the Carolina trade
Yeah,
originally?
he was in
Sorry.
the
So
Carolina
okay.
trade,
So
yeah.
But anyway, he wanted to go to the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preferably, right? So
Well, like Trouba wanted to go to the Rangers. His wife's a doctor, right?
Yep.
And that was like, but he had played 7-8 years in Winnipeg at that point, right?
yeah.
Yep.
But sometimes with veterans saying, I want a little more control of my career, especially if there is a family thing.
Correct.
I think fans are
Johnny
more open to
Gaudreau.
that and more understanding about that, as opposed to a kid who's 19, got drafted a year ago, put the jersey on,
Yes.
was all happy,
Yeah.
then saying, you know what?
I'm not
No
playing
thanks.
here.
Thanks for drafting me in the first round, but I've been investing something in me.
Yeah.
I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
So that I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, is it a thing related to the U.S. National Development Team program kids? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean, I guess then I start to think I find a lot of examples of kids who just went to where they were drafted.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what.
It is. It's a really hard question, but it's an interesting one, and I understand why the question comes out because this is something that doesn't necessarily happen that often, where a kid just flat out says, "I'm not going there."
Yeah. The lack
Right,
of communication for a year, he
Yeah.
didn't speak to them. And they go to see him at the
Yeah.
World Juniors, and he says, "No, we're not talking to the Flyers." Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
So to me,
Yeah, which is
something
really
happened
weird.
behind the scenes that pissed him off and was like, "Nope, this is not happening now."
It's also Gen Z millennial block type thing.
And-
You know, ghosting someone.
I'm gonna ghost
just
these guys,
ghosting
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
They just ghosted the Flyers.
yeah.
Like,
Hey, your
I'm
employer
not going to
wants to talk to
respond
you.
to your text or anything. And it was
Maddie,
Yeah.
you're right.
walking
though.
away. Like,
It's
that's how you do it.
How much of it is that element? How much of it
I don't
is
want to say
what
anything.
happened?
I'm just walking away.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
hear from me.
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
ghosting you.
So I think Belzy's onto something. We might see or we will see more of this at the NHL level, which is crazy.
It happens at the junior level all the time.
I know.
It happens in minor hockey level all the time. The amount of times I've been ghosted by people, even when I was at Nate, the amount of kids that ghost us, at that time we were an unbelievable program. And like you call a kid, you pick up the phone, you be like, "Hey, this is so and so with the Nate Dukes, blah blah blah. Okay, can I call you back?" Yeah. You try calling him. No.
Can I
answer.
call you back?
And then somehow they would try to circle back at some point, like 4 or 5 months later. But it's like they got this vision in their head where it's these are the only places I want to go. And when those places, I'm going to keep myself available for those places as long as I possibly can. And if they don't, then I might circle back.
But they also don't know how to keep the relationship open still.
Correct.
Where
And they
it's
have more
to
of
keep
a-
those door opens. And when you
Yeah.
ghost someone,
Yeah.
you've just closed that door.
Yeah.
They have more of a choice. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think a recruit, especially if they're sought after, still has more of a choice than a Cutter Gauthier who's like, well, I'm eligible for the draft, so
Yeah.
one of 32 is going to get me, and I'm going to
Yeah,
be
like
thrilled
those
to go
kids
there.
do
Right.
definitely have more opportunities out there for sure.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the draft, I mean, you're in the draft and you go where you go. But I just really think the more that I see this, and the more that I hear about it, something happened behind the scenes that has got
Had
him
to.
spooked.
Right.
Maybe
know
it
what
was
that is.
when they hired Tortorella. Like, I don't know.
Maybe.
That's too easy of a target, but
It is too easy of a
Yeah.
target, but at the same time, like, hey, you either love them or you hate them. There's not any in between.
Does
Yeah.
Tortorella have a history of like developing a lot of young players? Like I'm just
I don't
throwing
know.
that, like
I don't know.
because maybe if you're
I'd
that
have to go
camp or
back.
whatever,
Yeah.
you're sitting there going, he doesn't develop young people. I don't like him, so maybe it is a Torts thing.
Like there are coaches who will not play young guys. I know, Tom McClellan reluctantly had to play Pugliarvi and Yamamoto. Okay. Did he want to play veterans ahead of them? Yeah. So that it is a thing. It is a thing.
Yep.
It's just it's fuzzy in
Yeah.
terms of details, and you're just like, all we can do is speculate. But it's interesting, and I mean, good on Danny Briere for pulling off a deal and getting Drysdale.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but like, yeah, because Philly's usually a destination in the NHL. good program. They take care of you. Great hockey city. They used to always be in the mix for the biggest free agents and get them a lot of times. Interesting.
Is that still today like that though in Philly?
Well,
Because to me, I feel like
they're
the warm
rebuilding.
weather places have taken over.
Well, yeah, Vegas is probably like a top spot. Seattle
Vegas is a
will
top
be
spot.
one. Not even though it's not really a warm weather
Anaheim's
place.
still a top spot.
Even though that's become a hockey wasteland to a certain extent. But
Man, if you're down in Anaheim, like think about what that team's going to be in like 3 or 4
they're
years.
going to be good.
And then it's once again, all of a sudden, every free agent's going to want to go there. They still got free agents.
Yeah. LA is good.
San Jose still got free agents. Like Duclair,
Great team.
they're an awful team. But my point is like Duclair could have gone basically anywhere he wanted. Wait, did he get?
I would question that because Duclair, coming off his 30-goal season, ditched his agent and negotiated his own deal.
contracts, yeah.
And it's kind of gone sideways where it should have been.
He was
should
in
have
Florida.
locked in.
He was unbelievable there. He was still sought after. Like it's a guy that scored a lot of goals.
I know he
in
had
the
that
NHL.
30-goal year, and it's like he's going to get a good ticket. He got rid of his agent, and then I don't know. Like I think he's negotiated his way to San Jose. Maybe he got a good deal over there, but that's a terrible team right now. Mike Grier's got a lot of work
They look
to do.
like they're still be terrible in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Anaheim looks like they might have a future.
Yeah.
True.
San Jose.
Florida's a
me,
hotbed
does not.
for signing guys, right? Tampa, they've consistently kept their team, but
Yeah.
guys want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas.
Carolina's become pretty good.
So there's certain cities that are obviously just picking up guys because they're warm weather cities, and you kind of get lost in the shuffle. And I'm feeling more and more U.S. players. I will say this is that more U.S. players want to be part of those cities because you get lost in the shuffle, right? You can just be who you are. You can enjoy your life. Up here in Canada, like as much as this is our national sport, and it's awesome to to be an Edmonton Oiler. You're Connor McDavid, like you get whatever you want whenever you want. If you have a bad game, like if you're one of those players that's a lightning rod, oh boy,
Yeah.
like that's a tough way to go. Like and there's been cities. Well, no, every city in Canada that's got an NHL team has run at least one player out. And I'm not going to put that on media. And I'm not going to put it on fans or whatever. I'm just saying every single city,
It's a combination of everything.
right? Every single city across Canada that's got an NHL team has at least run one player out of that city for whatever the reason is. Doesn't happen in the U.S.
I enjoy that point that you're making. And Rob said when the Oilers played the Lightning earlier this season, would have a coach of a Canadian team survived winning, what did they win, 62 games?
Yeah.
And then getting swept by Columbus.
Great point.
Would have a coach in a Canadian team survived that? Or would it just been like, what a disaster. We won the President's Trophy easily. We were the favorites to win the Stanley Cup, and we didn't win a single playoff game. Could have you brought that entire team back? Which Tampa, I'm sure there were some player changes, but they basically brought
They ran it
all
back.
the prominent
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
back.
No.
Could have that happened in the Canadian market, or would just have there been so much thirst for somebody has to pay for that disappointment?
What has to change? Small deficiencies would be blown up to be major deficiencies.
Yeah.
Something has to be done. That's a great point by Rob, actually.
Because there was a post on Twitter that I saw probably about 3 months ago, and it was the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers before Ken Holland got there and the lineup today.
Yes.
And if you look at those two lineups, the lineup that is here today is so much better than what it used to be. But then the start of the season happens and everybody's like, head's got to roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His head's got to roll. And it's like, well, hold the phone. They're playing bad, right? Like, I get it. And Campbell, the signing for Campbell was awful. I get it. But within that same breath, I sit there and I say, okay, if you bring back Koskinen and you bring back Smith, what do people say?
Terrible.
Terrible.
Worst
Terrible.
tandem in the league.
Worst tandem in the league. This is awful.
Well, Smith didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
But then he goes out and he tries to sign a bunch of different guys. A couple of the goaltenders say no. They end up in different spots. And so you bring in this guy who, once again, right, wrong, or indifferent, if you go back to the well that you just were at, you're going to get lit up. You bring this goaltender in because he's the best of what's left. And yes, it was wrong. And you get lit up. So it's like it's a lose-lose in that particular situation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole point of it. It's like when he was in Detroit, he could sit back and he could do whatever. Detroit's a hockey mad city.
Yep.
But they were also good. He also had really good lineups. Yes, they made some awful decisions, but they let it roll because in the States, it's a little bit more laid back. Here, at least in the hockey side of things, it's a little bit more laid back. Here, it's our sport.
We have 500,000 coaches in this city.
If not more.
Yeah.
That's it
more.
for the EST Hangout presented by Mott's Clamato Caesar. Oilers, Blackhawks tonight. Two guys and a goalie coming up at noon with Dusty and Gager. Reid, you've got a pregame show on 6:30. CHED.
I do.
What time's that get going?
I'm on Face-Off shows on at 5 o'clock today. Games at 6:30.
And so is the Oil Stream pregame show.
5 o'clock.
And Bellsy, you're back on Saturday with Hello Hockey.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yep.
Beautiful. Well, on behalf of Reid, Tom, Shawn, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning into the EST Hangout. Thanks, Reid and Shawn, for coming by. Up next, it is the Lock Shop with Dusty and Huss. Thanks for tuning in.